Hi everyone, your old friend Marv the Movie Monster here with a special announcement. As you all know, tomorrow we'll see the release of the newest Star Wars adventure, The Acolyte, brought to you by the mind of Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye Headland. Yes, that Harvey Weinstein. But with the growing online discourse surrounding this show, we've seen a lot of people talking about morality in Star Wars, the very nature of good and evil in this galaxy far, far away. And I just wanted to take a moment to set the record straight. Recently, Leslye sat down with Dave Filoni to talk about Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, and they noted that Anakin never saw himself as evil. And I wanted to point out how unfair people are being about that. Look, Darth Vader may have worked beside Emperor Palpatine, the most wretched and evil man in the galaxy, as he committed atrocity after atrocity in pursuit of his twisted agenda, but it is unfair to believe that Darth Vader actually knew about any of that. Just because he worked for the guy doesn't mean that he condoned or even knew about all his heinous actions. So it's not right to place any blame on Lord Vader for anything he may or may not have facilitated while under the direct employ of Emperor Palpatine. Or take Bib Fortuna, the major domo of Jabba the Hutt. Can you truly believe that Bib knew that this fat, disgusting slug that he worked for was actually chaining up women and making them dance for him and then subsequently feeding them to a rancor when they displeased him? Even though literally everyone else in the galactic organized crime world knew, and Seth MacFarlane made public jokes about it years before anything came to pass, that ain't on Bib. So when he received a huge promotion in the same industry as his former evil boss, it wasn't right to pass any judgment on him. But then, of course, that didn't stop Boba Fett, the poster boy for toxic masculinity before Kathleen Kennedy and her team fixed him, from casting judgment on him and forcibly removing him from the position that he had earned. So, when watching The Acolyte, please remember that even those who were once in the employ of evil, horrible figures aren't to blame for the actions of their former employers. They simply didn't know. They still deserve to take the reins of their own projects. Hell, I'll go even further. They're entitled to those projects, because even the world's worst kept secret is still a secret kept from the willfully ignorant. Enjoy The Acolyte, folks. I'm sure I'll be watching with great interest. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Tooney Town TV. Oh, and remember, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get on it!
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Meowth, that's right.
Meowth, that is right. And it is Wednesday night here on the internet, and it is time for Tooney Talk TV, the newest Tooney Talk live stream podcast. Folks, I am Marvin, and I am the Movie Monster. And joining me this week, as always, is my co-host for Tooney Talk TV, the one and only, maybe slightly feeling defeated today, the American way, Mr. Kevin Apollo. How are you, my friend?
I had the hiccups. What the hell is happening?
Your body is rebelling after what you've been forced to watch today.
Oh, that's effing brutal.
How much do you hate me right now?
I really am not a fan.
You're cursing my name today, right?
Absolutely. I should not have spent. I really should have had more of a buffer before watching that and then jumping.
We all should have. And folks, also joining us this week, a good friend. If you listen to Tooney Talk Wrestling, as I'm sure a lot of you do, you know him, you love him. He is the one and only AEW Disciplinary Committee. Hello, Dis.
Hi, I'm a Star Wars.
You are more of a Star Wars than anything I've seen in the last 24 hours was a Star Wars. I'll put it that way.
That's why I did it. I got the cowboy hat because it's a Western, remember?
Right, because it's always a Western now. It's got to be
right.
a Western. It's always a Western.
So
Right. And welcome to all of our friends over in the chat. I see we've got a bunch of you guys in there now. We got our first super chat from Barry Place 28 for $5. Thanks so much. He says, thanks for the stream today. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. If you guys want to join in on our review of this on-screen abortion, then please, just super chat along and we will, we will share your thoughts with the world here. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad. And all of the and here's the really scary thing for the rest of the next 7 weeks. Okay, all of the reviews have stated these are the 2 good episodes.
Oh,
yes, Alan Ng from Film Threat and Chris Gore said that the first 2 episodes are borderline passable. Maybe you could just be like, oh, they were a little boring. The 3rd and 4th episodes, they say, are when things go completely off the rails. And we'll get into later what that might mean and what people are saying it means. But, oh, man. All right. So for those of you that don't know, this show comes to you from the mind of Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye Headland. She is supposedly a writer. I would call her a hack, but I would more accurately call her a hacktivist because she is just basically here to inject her political agenda into everything that she does. And she has just made Star Wars just her own here. She claims to be a super fan. When asked what her favorite Star Wars was, her response was all the Star Wars. She said she loves the Sith. With a with the big S there. Also joining us from over at that Park Place WWE Pro, Martin Stone. How you doing, my friend?
hey.
I'm doing very well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining us today. I sent out the invite to all you guys. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to actually make it. Thank you so much.
Well, things were running late for me, but yeah, I was able to. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Martin. Have you watched The Acolyte?
I did. I suffered through that.
I'm so sorry. All right. So, I guess we got to just go through it one episode at a time, right? Like, she starts off, and I'm struggling to figure out where to even begin. All right, so we'll start with the. Go ahead, Kev. What were you gonna say?
Start with the not crawl.
So we have a not opening crawl. She gives us it's the High Republic. And for those of you that don't know what the High Republic is, the High Republic is a how do I describe it? It's the time period before episode 1, but after the Old Republic. So after all the wars end and stuff like that, and the Rusan reformations happen in the original expanded universe. But now we have got the oh man, it basically, this was Kathleen Kennedy's grand vision to be able to insert her agenda into a mostly untouched period of Star Wars. It has been a miserable failure. Comic books, all of it. Dis, I'm assuming you haven't seen any of this, right?
Very little.
Okay.
I kept with it up to season 2 of Mandalorian, and then I couldn't do it anymore.
Martin, have you seen any of
Yeah,
any
and
of
I
the
used
High
to
Republic
read
stuff?
I used to read the old EU books and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, me too.
But this was the confusing thing to me just about the opening crawl. I always envisioned the High Republic as being hundreds of years before.
Yes.
And the opening crawl just says 100 years before. And I'm like, what?
Right.
That's a little close, isn't it?
Very close. I think she wanted to run up as close to the prequel trilogy as she possibly could.
It's silly because the whole point of this was to expand the universe. So now we're only maybe 50 years out from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Yoda's still 750 years old at this point.
So at this point you have an experienced Yoda who should be running the council at this point.
He should be the Grand Master of the Jedi Order at this point. Yes, he should already be in his role.
Well, and shouldn't you have baby Count Dooku running around being trained at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah,
At 100 years before episode 1, I don't think Dooku was that old.
At the very least, Mace Windu should be running around. Mace was supposed to be 120 something years old.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I never knew that. Okay, well, so anyway, we're in the High Republic, and we start off with we've got Jedi Master Trinity, Carrie-Anne Moss playing a Jedi, which was one of the things that people were actually kind of excited about for this. Oh wow, Trinity's a Jedi. She's in it for 5 minutes. I mean, she is killed off immediately. Spoilers, by the way, for those of you that were wondering, we're going to give spoilers here. We get now. I just am affectionately referring to the twins here as like they're basically the Space Olsen twins. So the dark side one I'm calling Mary Kate because she was involved in Heath Ledger's death. And the other one I'm just calling Ashley. So Mary Kate shows up and immediately like drops into this cringy kung fu stance. And it's like, attack me with all of your strength. And I busted out laughing right away.
Can I? My first, real quick, I just want to give you my first initial thought because I'm going to carry it through the episodes. When you see her in that like awful, remember she was wearing one of those masks that they told us not to wear during COVID, but everyone wore anyway. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was like, you're not, this person obviously knows you. Look at your hair, look at your face. You're not hiding your identity with that mask.
No.
I don't know what that's for. And I thought they answered it later, but then they took it all back at the end of the season. We'll get to that. But that mask was doing nothing to hide her identity. How many people are out there with those exact braids with that coloring? Like
right.
The mask was ridiculous. It just looked like they were trying to make her look like somebody from Assassin's Creed. That was my immediate thought was like, oh, this is Star Wars Assassin's Creed, except they should have just done that with Boba Fett. But anyway, well,
there are at least 2 people in the universe with that exact haircut. And
right.
Yes. Yeah.
The exact coloring, the exact cut, like they may not have known each other since childhood, but apparently they're still so in tune with each other that they're getting the same Gen Z haircut together.
I guess I should clarify that going into this, I knew nothing about this. I stayed away from spoilers. I didn't know that she was a twin going in. I didn't know any of that. So,
well, they didn't announce that they were the twin thing was happening. That was a thing that had leaked a long time ago.
okay.
But yeah, we were not fully aware of it. Now, Martin, we launched then into a big old kung fu fight in as has been the Kev, what do you got there?
Listen, I love kung fu fights. I'm a big Shaw Brothers fan. I have like 3 of the available collections. I understand what they were trying to go for here, and they failed abysmally.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that they kept going back to this fighting style, like it was like everything that everybody hated in the second and third Matrix, and just even later.
Yes. Well,
it's like Leslye Headland took ideas and iconography and concepts from as many other IPs as she possibly could, and jammed it all into this pilot to try to make something that was supposed to be really cool, but has no idea what it wants to do.
None whatsoever. And this fight is Martin is like just like in Ahsoka, slow, plodding, sloppy, just an old lady fighting basically. I mean, Carrie-Anne Moss was once an amazing fighter, but I mean, she's an older lady now. What did you think of the choreography for this fight?
It was a little simplistic, other than the wire fighting stuff. I did sort of like the effortless way that the effects department had the knives flying into Mary Kate's hands. That was cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. But I will say that if only Darth Vader knew that to kill off Reva, all he needed were a couple of small knives. He didn't need to actually try to impale her with a lightsaber because that didn't work.
And what's with that? Lightsabers don't kill anybody anymore, but those 2 tiny blades instantly.
Oh yeah, a teeny tiny blade that goes 2 inches into your chest will kill you apparently. But but being impaled by light energy is that's just gonna it's a minor inconvenience. It's the same day. Go ahead, Kev. What?
I think burning plasma doesn't kill you anymore, but a tiny shuriken will. And then she's a Jedi Master. You mean to tell me she couldn't anticipate her throwing another blade
Well,
after the obvious distraction thing? It's just
Also, you've got a lightsaber. And there was this ridiculous line, like maybe the line that I hated more than anything in this show, where she was like, when a Jedi draws their weapon, it's because they're prepared to kill.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Because I'm pretty sure I remember Obi-Wan Kenobi chopping off a guy's arm in a cantina, and I'm pretty sure that's all he intended to do.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. So you want to do a hand-to-hand combat thing so bad here, Leslye, that you try to change the nature of the Jedi to make them murderers now? Come on.
Yeah. The crazy thing about the knives for me was that so she used her Jedi powers or the Force powers to bring the knives to her hands. She used it to flip over, she was using Jedi powers quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where she has to kill her. And that could have been me. I could have done that. I could have thrown a knife at the bartender, distract her, and then thrown a knife in her chest.
No,
Anyone
you couldn't
could
have
done that.
Do you know how hard it is to throw a knife?
I know how to throw knives. You didn't know that about me.
There's
I'm in
no
the
way
country.
you know how to throw
I live
knives.
in the
There's no
country.
way.
I live in the country. I know how to throw
Okay.
knives.
All right. You know what? I'm just gonna take this and keep going with it because I'm not gonna get into that argument with you. Apparently, you're disciplinary the ninja.
It's not a force required move, is what I'm saying. That's not something that you need.
I agree. It was you killed an experienced Jedi master with the lamest distraction tactic ever, with the smallest blade ever, and it's
look over there.
Anybody could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It was. Hey, look over there. What's going on over there? Shunk. That was it. It was so stupid. It was like, and then she goes to attack the bartender. It's an entirely stupid mess of a scene that we were going through here. It was. I'm trying to remember because my mind kind of like collapsed in on itself. But yeah, Mary-Kate defeats the Jedi and leaves, and then we meet Ashley on her ship. Now, we are also reintroduced.
You forgot something.
What did I forget?
You forgot the reason she left, which I'm sure will become important later, is she saw that the bartender had a little baby, and she didn't.
I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah, she saw the bartender so we got to understand that she has a weakness for children.
She was going to kill the bartender until she saw the kid behind the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, I must have looked down at my phone at that and been like, how much longer is left in this show?
You missed the most expensive special effect in the entire episode.
For real.
The t-shirt. So
I think I saw something that it's like $750,000 a minute for this show based on the budget that they had.
What?
Yeah, like it is some insane amount of money that they spent on this show. That money that Lucasfilm did not have, by the way. Like money that was supposed to be apparently being saved for other things, and Kathleen just kind of took from other projects. The rumor is to give to this.
Oh, she pulled the Kurtzman.
Yes, yeah, she pulled the old Kurtzman move. So then we meet Ashley, and she is with our old friends, the Neimoidians, the Trade Federation. Now, it is apparently illegal for human beings to do outer hull repair, so you have astromechs do it. But the Neimoidians, straight from Cato Neimoidia, the people that used an army of battle droids, the people who literally blockaded an entire planet because they wanted better rates on trade, have decided instead of droids, we're just going to use people that we have to continuously pay instead of droids. This is another one of those little Leslye logic leaps that makes no sense. Then we get a fire in space, and yes, we have had fires in space before. This was a little different though, because this was like a campfire. It was flickering in the wind. Martin, when you saw the campfire in space, what were your first thoughts?
I thought Star Wars has never been hard science fiction, but this was just it's not even physics.
Right. Like we've always had the sound of the TIE fighters going by, the sounds of the explosions in space. That's always kind of been a thing. But the campfire on the spaceship, that was ridiculous. Kevin Apollo, you must have thrown your hands in the air at here.
Yeah, again, as a deep lover of Star Trek and Star Wars together, I always have to remind myself Star Wars is more fantasy, but there has always at least been a tepid attempt at honoring basic physics. And it's like, there is no air. You're in a bloody vacuum. How are we roasting marshmallows in space, and with the cheapest looking spacesuits ever, too?
Well, at this point, why even bother with spacesuits? Maybe everybody can just breathe in space now. Maybe the vacuum of space is identifying as atmosphere at this point, and that's what we're going with.
Ahsoka did fight a couple of spacecraft on the wing of a spacecraft. Remember
She did do that. She did do that. When she was
is this better or worse than a herd of horses at altitude on a Star Destroyer above the planet?
It's so funny. I've only seen that movie one time. I have not seen it since the day it came out in theaters, Rise of Skywalker. And I think this is I can't tell if this is right. This might be worse.
By the time we got to the fire in space, I was already taken out by he said, I don't even, okay. Do we know names at all of any of these characters, or can I just say the guy? Because
we don't know the name of her coworker, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So him, yes, the one who, later went on to arrest, or not, you know what I mean. Anyway.
Oh, you mean Jedi Superfan?
Not the one that arrested her, but the one that she was working with, her coworker, the one.
Oh,
anyway.
okay.
Anyway, he when he said there ain't no rest for the wicked, that took me out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because this is supposed to be a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and somehow they're using pop culture phrases from
it was that as bad as the your mama joke in the beginning of The Last Jedi?
It's as bad. Yeah, I think so.
I think though that that's just infected all of science fiction at this point. Everybody writes like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
The infantilization of dialogue. Like a lot of this comes from the people that are writing this stuff. They don't have actual friendships or actual life experience, so they don't know how actual people talk. And it's this versus watching a Tarantino movie where, yes, sometimes he lands it. You will know people who behave like the people on screen. It's the other part of it too with the dialogue. It's so wooden and dull and bland. Like we skipped over it, but like Carrie Ann Moss, I really feel like she just showed up to collect a check. She was so wooden, and like when you look at like Trinity, even in whatever the newest one was called, once she becomes Trinity again, like Trinity's strength is that she was, stoic. She was stoic. She was
right.
Steadfast, resolute, all of it in there. This was just wooden. This was Pinocchio. The on Fighting Wire. So it's like you're not only is like the lame dialogue unnatural and infantilized and like just kind of not going anywhere. You're just like no one. You're not going to find anybody who would actually even say something like that. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. Sorry, these hiccups are murdering me.
And we already okay. I mentioned elsewhere that we didn't get a lot of virtue signaling in this show. It was more just using diversity to hide bad writing, but you do kind of get already the all men are really stupid trope at this point.
From the second Jedi Superfan comes in, and that's what I'm calling him because that is the actor that claimed on 2 different occasions that Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star. Jedi Superfan comes in, and right away he's an idiot. Mm-hmm. His young female Padawan is infinitely superior to him. We just talk about how he's just hopeless the entire time. When we meet Jedi Master Squid Games, the best actor in this entire thing, who apparently learned English for the role and is still acting circles around these people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I think I had read that in an article. When we reading I'm sorry, when we meet him, one of the first, his Padawan, Chitara from Thundercats, the first thing she does is scold him and tell him how horrible he is. About like, oh, why are you looking at photos of your Padawan? Blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
and then he's like, I'm a terrible teacher. This was all just man-hating, just nonstop man-hating.
Now, to be fair, our main character, I believe Ashley is the one. I called her Tamara the whole time, but
you're going with you went with sister. I went with the Olsen twins.
But to be fair, she's an idiot too. Don't get me wrong. She is very, very, very stupid, as we find out
right
shortly. So, a lot of very stupid characters in this show.
This is what happens when you have unclever people working very hard to tell you that they're clever. Like up to it, I might be skipping because I can't remember when it happened, but like when the sisters talk to each other and they have that lame "it rhymes but it doesn't" exchange.
That was horrible.
It's like it's everything.
Well, it's the age old problem of you cannot write a character who is smarter than you. And if you are just a bag of rocks like Leslye Headland is, then obviously every character that you have is going to be a bag of rocks. But so Jedi Superfan and his Padawans show up and they take her into custody, because the bartender comes in and is like, that's her. So right away, I'm like, oh, so is this going to be like a fugitive thing? Like, is she going to be like having to prove her innocence and like be on the run and like be ducking the Jedi, but also ducking the Sith? I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool. I might actually like that. Like this one person kind of caught in the middle of like light side versus dark side. Now we settled that up by the end of the first episode. We can't let a little thing like plot get in the way of all the stunning bravery going on around here.
Yeah, the pacing of this episode, and it gets really weird because it completely changes in the second episode. But the pacing of the first episode is a 6-year-old child telling a story, and the only connective tissue they have is saying the words "and then."
Yes,
that's all it is. The scene transitions are just "and then." It's okay. First, the girl, she went and she found a Jedi and she killed her, and then that there was another girl and she looked like the girl and she was on a ship, and then she was outside and there was a fire and she had to put out the fire, and then she got arrested, and then like there's no connective tissue between the scenes. It's just move constantly.
Hey, did anybody notice that? Was it Chitara you called her?
Chitara,
yeah. That she said that sentimentality and nostalgia are something bad. We don't know because a man cut her off. But I mean, that's just disingenuous for Disney Star Wars to be saying sentimentality and nostalgia are bad. That's the only gas in their tank.
I noticed the little shot, but that was an attack on us.
Yes.
Of course it was. You let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
It's how dare fans, especially people who may have spent decades pumping tons of money into the love of this IP. How dare they get upset that it's being mishandled or manipulated for someone else's machinations? I'm trying so hard not to go on a mega rant.
I mean, I know it's coming. I know the mega rant is coming from you. It's only a matter of time here. But so I was excited to see the Jedi Temple again. But then, we get Jedi Master Squid Games, and he is doing he's conducting class with an ethnically diverse group of younglings. Which, by the way, at what point in the next century did the Jedi suddenly get really selective about who they let into the temple?
Well,
because
evidently, there's going to be some Jedi Master with a funny little mustache.
Yeah.
What I found weird is that in a weird way, this was actually less diverse than George Lucas's Star Wars movies, because while it was diverse into what we consider diverse today, meaning there's lots of colors and lots of different genders and lots in space, that's not diverse. That is, we are leaning towards humans. I think there was one non-human in that entire class. And in Star Wars world, in galaxy, whatever, that's not diverse. That is ethnic cleansing in favor of humans. That is turning
look at the
all
Jedi. Look at the Jedi Council in Episode 1. Mace Windu is the only human being on that council, from what I can remember.
Yeah, and in this, it's all what it is that they had to Show us diversity that we will recognize as diversity. They can't just tell the story and let the characters speak for themselves and show different species living in, coming together for a better. Instead, they have to. It's because if there were 7 species there or 7 different, creatures, then we would look at that and we would just say, oh, look at the neat creatures. But if they have 7 different human races, then they can say, wonderful, you are so diverse. This is fantastic, because the average person doesn't recognize separate species as diversity.
It's the same problem that's been killing all entertainment really since 2009. It is a group of people with a myopic worldview who can't see outside of themselves. They completely and totally lack imagination. So everything has to be on the nose because it's all they understand. So instead of doing what George did and fill the room with a bunch of different aliens, different sizes, whatever, and sprinkle in a couple of human kids, you just got the diversity rainbow. It's the DEI kindergarten classroom. And again, you take away from the magic of what Star Wars is supposed to be because of some weirdo's interpretation of it.
Yeah, and so when we get to the Jedi Temple now, we have who I'm calling Jedi Master Namekian comes in to tell Squid Games, like, oh, your Padawan did this thing. She's on a prison transport, and so now we have the familial connection here. Then we go to the prison transport, and we find our first white men of the episode. And of course, they're convicts. They're horrible. They portray her. They try to kill her. Like she stops to save the one, and then like the one immediately betrays her and takes the last escape pod. But it's okay. A spaceship might be crashing to a planet below, but this is, if I may borrow a phrase, barely an inconvenience to her.
Oh, you know what? I was on their side. Screw her. You know what? They're in jail. They have drones on the thing, which, by the way, this is another instance of, and then they skipped like everything. Apparently she was on the ship for 30 seconds because everything was given. All the information was given to her in the time that we saw. So apparently this happened immediately, and they never even considered escaping the ship before she appeared. But they said, hey, join us. Let's escape. Let's get on that escape pod and go. And she said, no. She said, no. She said, I don't want to. I'm a good person. I'm not going to do that. And then they start escaping, and she's like, hey, can you let me out? Like, what is that?
You're not wrong.
She immediately changed her mind and asked to get out. And they're like, no, we're not letting you out. We offered you a spot. You insulted us, calling us criminals, saying you didn't want to get out. So no, rot. Deal with it. And then she's like, why are you doing this to me? They're not evil. They're not evil. She made that decision. She said no. Why are they going to take the time to help her now when she said she would not help them? She doesn't know that they're guilty. What about them makes it so they're any more guilty than she is?
I think we all know what about them makes them guilty, Dick.
I want to touch on a filmmaking thing going on here.
Man.
That alien that's being used to suppress the prisoner, the schizophrenic one.
Yeah.
She takes that off his face, and they make a point of showing it fly up into the ducts. We never see it again. Now, a good filmmaker would have that come back later, and something happens, some plot point, it causes some trouble for it. Nope, it's gone. Forget about it.
Yeah. And because it wasn't used later, that would have been a great spot to save some money on an effect that you don't need to worry about, and maybe use it somewhere else on the show because some of the special effects were pretty bad. But no, they had to show that little cute thing scurry off to show that it didn't get hurt, that it's okay.
And also remember the fact that like we have established that she can't use the Force. Like she couldn't like pull that on the robot arm near to her or anything like that. Now this ship crashes. You know how difficult it is to survive a plane crash on Earth. Imagine crashing from a spaceship. All she did was sit in a chair, put a seatbelt on, and put her arms over her head. And she did not have a scratch on her.
Yeah.
Not a scratch.
That shows the power of the correct position. Everybody should remember that when they're crashing.
Yep. Arms over the head.
And seatbelt.
Elbows bent.
Wear seatbelt.
Wear your seatbelt. There's a reason it's a law.
Did anyone else get Pirates of the Caribbean vibes a little bit? Like, I'm talking about the ride, Pirates of the Caribbean.
In what way?
When the Tool was like moving away from her and coming back, all I kept thinking was them.
Oh, the dog.
The dog. Yeah, that's all I kept thinking was the dog in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
I could see that.
This is the best way you can figure out for her to get out is that there's a tool that she has to reach that happens to slide in. I mean, I guess it was the setup that she wasn't a good force user, but still, it was very, very basic entry level ride. Like I said, when you're copying something off of a ride from Disney World from 50, 60 years ago. And I know it's not 1-to-1, but it's the same basic premise.
Basically,
Come on, guys.
So after the crash, the Jedi get there. We've got now Squid Game, Chitara, and Superfan are all there to collect Ashley. When they get there, they find her. There's a little bit of a chase. She has that little vision where she sees her sister, where I'm like, okay, is this Mary Kate like reaching out to her? And I assumed it was. Apparently it's not.
Was it a force?
I am assuming they're doing a thing where they're gonna both be the chosen one, because I'm sure they were conceived, but the rumor is they were conceived by the Force to their lesbian mothers, and it's also going to be that they're a Force dyad the way Kylo Ren and Rey were. I'm assuming all of that is going to be true because they're going to be the ultimate. They got to be the bestest ever, as the as Doomcock would put it. But now it's like we get there and they're like, okay, we're going to take her in. And she's like, no, it's not me. It's my sister. And then Squid Game is just like, okay. That's it.
Was it weird? Because like you said, it's kind of unclear. At that point, that's when I figured out she had a twin sister. And I mean, I kind of figured that before, but that's when it was, you knew for sure.
Oh, you didn't get it during the we were born of one, but now two, or whatever the heck that stupid thing was that they said.
Yeah, I'm saying that's like okay. that point. And so in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, so a ghost of her baby sister came back to tell her that the sister that doesn't want her to know that she's alive is alive. Because at this point, I'm thinking, now this is by thinking about the mask. I'm thinking, okay, now the mask makes sense because she wants people to think that she's her sister. That's what I thought. I thought it was like an evil sister who wanted her sister or wanted to frame her sister, so she was wearing the terrible mask.
There are no flaws in either of these sisters. They are both stunning and brave.
So I thought, okay, so she's the bad one. She wants to frame this one, okay. And I'm thinking this is starting to make a little sense, although I don't understand why a ghost of her, even though she didn't die, would go and tell her that she was alive. But hey, okay. I'll go with this because at least there's something. At least, okay, one sister's trying to frame the other. No, that's not what happened. And we'll get to that. But that's just, I was putting too much logic into this show.
Way too much. And then we end with Mary Kate on a shoreline with her quote unquote Sith master. And, he gives a bunch of nonsensical dialogue that is, essentially amounts to, do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot, from Rings of Power, and then lights up his red lightsaber for no reason other than to tell us that he's a Sith.
But you don't take it out unless you're going to kill somebody. Remember?
Of course. Yeah, no, the Sith can, no, because the Sith can do it. Because look, LK makes this point in the chat. You can see how they're flipping the canon. It used to be Sith broke away from the Jedi. Now it's going to be the Sith become the dominant Jedi group, and it's good Jedis who break away. AKA the Jedi are inherently bad or authoritarian versus being inherently good. That is 100% what they're doing. And Leslye has made no bones about it that this is a hit piece on the Jedi. I think this is going to be inevitably a hit piece on Yoda. And I think that her eventual plan is for this to negate the importance of Anakin and Luke and Leia. Right? Am I wrong here, guys? Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been hearing the rumors about that they are chosen ones or proto Anakins somehow. Yeah, that stuff never sits right with me. Like, for instance, let's take a Harry Potter, for instance. there's a prophecy in there, but then you find out the prophecy is not really that important because what's really important is the way you act. Like, okay, but what's the point of the prophecy? You spent an entire book or an entire movie talking about these prophecies. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
And now here's the other thing. This mystery Sith, okay? Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's got to be Darth Plagueis." Well, first of all, it's you could tell that it's not immune, which is, immune is the race of Darth Plagueis. That was established by George Lucas in canon. That it was, the banking clan will sign your treaty. Like that's what immune is. And if them to make him now a human, or I have a funny feeling that they're gonna find some way to make him, even though they keep saying using the he pronouns, they're gonna find some way to make it a woman.
It's so far away from what George Lucas was doing and what he was trying to accomplish.
So far away. Do you remember about a week ago, guys? George Lucas was asked something about female characters in Star Wars, and he's like, "No, like I have strong female characters in Star Wars." And his exact quote was, "You can't just put pants on a woman and call her a hero."
Yeah.
That was at this. I am 100% convinced that was against this, because he knew it was coming, and he was like, "I got to get out in front of this because I got to let people know this is not me."
Well,
He also smacked down Marvel and a whole bunch of and the modern kick-ass female beats everybody up trope anyway. Yeah. So there was a little bit more to it than that, but yeah, I'm sure he needed to make sure everybody is aware that he had nothing to do with this. But at this point, what does it matter? It's like it's the damage is done. Like you sold it, and then you backed Iger because you were told to do what you were told to do. So it's like, George can say what you want, dude, but like, hypocrisy.
This is the bed that you made.
Well, the beauty with Star Wars was always that it was grounded in that, like, serial drama, good guys versus bad guys. There is evil, there is good.
Not according to Jedi Superfan. He says there's no good or evil in Star Wars. That's the franchise that has a light side and a dark side.
Yeah, no, just because you find out that someone went from good and then became evil doesn't mean that there isn't good and evil. There's still that. And that's why Star Wars was able to be digested by anyone. That's why my mom could watch Star Wars and my son could watch Star Wars. That's why anyone could understand it. When you get into this thing where it's like, okay, we're going to make the Sith the good guys and we're going to make the Jedi the bad, you're getting too clever for your own good. You don't need that, even all the way, take it up through Revenge of the Sith, which I'm not a traditional Star Wars fan. My trilogy, honestly, is probably the prequel trilogy. My favorite two Star Wars movies are Empire and Revenge of the Sith, and it doesn't mean that the bad guys can't win. It doesn't mean that you can't show that why the bad guys became bad guys and give them sympathies. George Lucas did that all the time, but they're still bad guys, right? Like that's the thing that I think has been missing in modern Star Wars for quite a while. And this show really just throws that in the forefront,
basic and classic morality tales resonate universally for a reason. It's things that we can all understand. We understand good and bad. We understand consequences for your actions. We understand, a desire for forgiveness and redemption. It's kind of at the root of what makes a decent human being. So when you sit down and you watch these stories, yes, you see bad guys doing terrible things to people who can't protect themselves. So you immediately cheer for the hero. Hey, when the hero gets beat up, hey, you give him your sympathy because you feel bad because they're doing the right thing. When the bad guy has a change of heart, you want to go on that journey because you're actually hoping that they can redeem themselves. And when the ultimate menace gets finally defeated, and goes down the reactor shack, everybody cheers because the actual problem's gone until he comes back somehow.
Somehow he returned.
Sith cloning, secrets only they know.
That's something for Dave Filoni to figure out later.
Is that when Anakin blows up the Death Star? Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. Maybe he thinks that. Maybe he just completely took Lando's big moment away from him.
How undiverse of him.
I know, right? You think that he'd be like, praising the fact, but then again, it was a mass murdering terrorist action. So maybe we do need to pin it on the white guy. But then again, Anakin was an amputee. He was disabled. He was basically in an iron lung.
Veteran.
War veteran. We can't be too mean to him.
No, you have to. Yeah, but now the Sith are the good guys and the Jedi are going to be the bad guys, so it's okay because.
Right.
I guess Lando, where does he fall into that? Because he doesn't switch, right? He wasn't either.
Lando is always kind of morally. Lando's a cheat. He's a cheat. He's a con man. He's a smuggler.
Scoundrel.
But at the end, he's a scoundrel. Yeah, scoundrel. But at the end of the day, he's also not evil. He's not like he'll steal your credits, but he's not going to murder you for nothing.
Right. So a perfect example. When they're going to Cloud City, when you go back and reanalyze the film, he's trying to save his friend by not letting him land because he knows once they land, it's out of his control.
Right.
And then as we're watching the deal get worse, worse by the minute, he's still trying to figure out how to save his friend, but also protect his people. So Lando's a bit of a cheat, but he also is trying to do the greater good. Lando is like just that one friend, who's a good guy, but they make just weird decisions, and you just kind of go along for the ride and hope that they eventually figure it out. And he does.
Let's just keep talking about Lando. We don't need to talk about the rest of it.
It's an infinitely more interesting conversation. So for the chat, if you guys want to give your thoughts on episode 1, send us in the super chat. Let us know your review. Would this have been enough on a week where both episodes didn't come out to get you to watch another week? Well, for me, it would have been, if I wasn't a content creator, it would have been a big fat no. I would have literally not watched again after this.
I don't know if you watched it in the block or if you watched it separately. I don't even know where the first episode actually ends and where the second episode actually begins. And when I had to go back and to watch it, and I watched the recap, we're opening up with her going into the temple to poison the master who looked like a guy just threw an old man makeup.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you think you get a franchise right to a Jedi temple?
I was saying that too. Like it's basically like a Chick-fil-A, only with less gay people going to it. Because all my gay friends love Chick-fil-A. I will say that they all love their chicken. But yeah, I think that was a thing. We were talking about it in the That Pog Place Slack, right, Martin? Where we were like,
yeah, we were.
Hey, I think it was Lorne was saying that it was like back, I think before the Rusan Reformation, where they used to be like Jedi temples on different locations, but like it should have been done by that point when the official temple was then on Coruscant after that.
You got to think if it's the major religion of the galaxy, there's local places of worship.
Right? Yeah, it's got to be. But now we've got, who I call Jedi Master White Guilt inside.
Oh, good.
The symbolism that is great.
The white guilty guy who just, first of all, he takes the Barash vow, which the Barash vow is something that was brought up in the Darth Vader comic books that Disney produced, which are actually very, very good. I really enjoy those comics. But the Barash vow basically means a Jedi that's seeking penance will essentially like go into like an exile. I don't know how you do that while still staying in a Jedi temple, but apparently this one did, and she can't stab him because the power of his guilt is just far too guilty, and so she can't get through to stab him for his guilt.
That's way better. That's way better than what I had. I was just calling him Jedi Forehead the whole time.
He did have a 5. Originally I had written down Jedi Master 5 head. But no, he is Jedi Master White Guilt.
See, I thought the visual symbolism of that was exactly the opposite of what they were going for, or maybe it was what they were going for. You got the white guy who's far too powerful to beat unless he gives up his own power. Is that weird to anybody else?
No, that is interesting. I could see
No,
that.
but they're not smart enough to do that. Everything else is so black and white. There's no way they meant to do that. No way.
So now, because she can't actually, so now, that people have seen her try to like break in. Now we're like, okay, Ashley cannot be the murderer because somebody else just tried to murder while she's on there. So now any semblance of is she involved in this is completely out the window.
She somehow beats everybody to the room.
Yes.
They have like a 50 pace head start, and she saunters off to the side randomly and gets to the room a full 8 minutes before everybody else does.
I know.
So let's not skip over my personal favorite acting performance of this entire show, which was Jason Mendoza from Good Place, doing as the
is that who that was?
Yeah, that's who that was.
I just wrote down Asian Ezra Miller.
No, that was Jason. That was Jason from Good Place, and he was fantastic. And I just wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, wasn't bad.
And he wasn't. He didn't seem like an idiot at first, but I guess he's not
No.
white, so he didn't have to be an idiot.
But now, Martin, was it you that in the Slack that made a note about the conversation between Ashley and Chitara, where like the first thing that she does is like intellectually dominate this girl?
Yeah, it's super creepy for a former Harvey Weinstein acolyte to. Okay, imagine this is a rough and tumble blue collar guy. He wakes up on a ship. There's a teenage girl, doing something. The first thing he does is, "Hey, what's really going to work is this." All right, that would be infuriating to the wokies, anyways. But then she's like, "Oh, hey, are you a pilot?" He's like, "No, I've got a cooler, more dangerous job than that." And then he talks about how flexible he is.
Yeah.
This episode, when I said they changed the pacing, this episode was like a sitcom. Like I was waiting,
but that moment alone was just super creepy.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
It was like a grooming conversation. It was like,
well, and then he was naked. He was naked in front of her.
And it's the one instance of someone was able to write what they know.
Probably.
But yeah, he's standing there naked in front of her, and she like looks down at his wiener and looks back up at her. Like it was total laugh track bait. Like I was just waiting to hear that because, and it was of course another situation of look how dumb the man is and look how
of course.
Yeah, you had to throw that in there. But yeah, like I said, it was a total sitcom situation where they flirted a little bit. It was like a weird. I don't know. This whole episode was paced super because the first episode was bang, 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 bang. And then this episode, like I think it took place over maybe 20 minutes, it was very hard to follow.
Well, you remember how in the prequel trilogy, Anakin and Obi-Wan don't have a normal Padawan relationship. They're like brothers, older brother, younger brother.
Right. Yeah.
The Chitara just flat out backsasses the Jedi Knight she's assigned to. Jedi superfan.
Yes.
What's with that?
It's the typical Disney young woman relationship with any authority figure. You're man, dumb, evil. I'm smarter and better. I don't understand the constant need for it.
No,
because we've seen it a jillion times. So you're taking what could be an interesting character, and now you're just making her completely and totally unmemorable because she's just your standard Disney teenaged angst female.
Yeah. There was actually, from a surprising source, and that's the only reason I bring this up. Me and my son we always watch the theory, like film theory, game theory, that kind of stuff. And the last film theory that Matt Pat did before, because he recently quit. But the last one that he did was actually about how in children's entertainment and stuff like Star Wars and the MCU, there are no good role models for males anymore. They're all, at this point, they're all made out to be doofuses and they don't get redeemed. like they used to, where, you know, in the past it'd be they kind of the female would give you the little smart aleck quip and stuff like that, but eventually the male would be redeemed and do something worthwhile that at least the boys had something to hold on to and look up to. Now they don't get the redeeming. They still get the quips, they still get the kind of dumb aloof characters, but they don't get the redeeming aspect at the end. The only redeeming aspect is they step aside to let the females do what they're, you know, to save the day. That's the redeeming aspect, is that they move to the side.
Was Matt secretly based?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Like, because it was really weird, because he did the whole thing in the start of the video where it was like, you know, there's plenty of genders and the world is a rainbow and blah, 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 but they should have better male role models. And I'm like, where'd this come from? This is different, you know, and it's a good video. And I highly recommend people maybe skip over the first 5 minutes, but definitely watch that part of the video, because it's something that I've struggled with my kid for years. There's nobody on TV that I can point at, and, you know, I mean, I have, it does, I don't want to say it makes my job harder, but it does make me more aware of me making decisions and becoming a role model for him. So in some ways there's a positive out of it, but I had to make that positive.
Sorry, I didn't mean
go ahead. No, you're fine. I was done.
I was like, well, again, you look at TV as a whole, like even versus when we were kids. Good luck finding an actual positive male father figure. You know, we can't mention Heathcliff Huxtable, so maybe Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow are it. For the last 30 years, it's been Homer and Peter Griffin.
Danny Tanner, maybe.
You know, it's dads are now fat and incompetent. Or they're just bizarrely misogynistic, and it's like no human being would function like this. You know, it's something that's supposed to be a loving environment. And then you look at you look at cartoons in general. So again, I get up in the morning and I watch old stuff with my kid, and he's entirely too young to even understand what's going on. But like, again, it comes back to basic morality tales. Like, you know what, something like Thundercats, and then the code of omens is like truth and honor and friendship and respect, like just driving home very simple things. And at no point in time is anyone better than anybody else. It's just about teamwork. Again, the beauty of Star Trek was that it was a naturally diverse group of people, intelligent people working together for a common good. Or like, go back and watch classic Doctor Who. You know, Third Doctor is my favorite. Elizabeth Shaw was this brilliant scientist, and she didn't take any crap from the Doctor, because from her perspective, she was just as smart as he was. And find every once in a blue when he would say something sassy, she'd sass him back. But the big difference was that they were both right, and it was a simple matter of perspective, not silly man, my ovaries make me superior to your external genitals. It's like I would say consciously, you know, people went other way to lose the plot. But yeah, good luck finding a positive role model for your kids on TV now. And at the same time too, you know, look at all our Disney princesses. Mm-hmm. They for the most part, if dad is alive, you know, we'll take Ariel for example. All her dad wants her to do is show up to an effing concert and sing with her sisters and stop wandering off by herself. The crux of the movie is, I met a stranger I don't know. I want to go get some strange D. I'm going to go destroy the entirety of my familial relationship and screw everybody else because I'm going to go do what I want to do.
But then
rewarded for being selfish.
Right. And she ends up she doesn't learn a lesson in the end of that. Her father is the one that learns the lesson that his daughter was right when she was clearly wrong.
Yeah.
And that's going back to the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. It was like, and it's
late 80s actually,
yeah.
I think.
And it's tripled down. It's tripled down since then. So it's like what are you really teaching the kids? And you wonder why you go have conversations with Gen Zers and they can't string 5 words together in a sentence, but they can't handle anything that is remotely intellectually stressful. They collapse inside. They don't know how to handle authority, and you know, they need a mental health break because you told them that they made a left turn when they're supposed to make a right turn.
It's because a lot of young men don't have strong male role models to look up to. They have strong female role models to look up to, so they take a more feminine route.
Well, and just look also at like the strong male role models that you used to have, the ones that you might be able to point to. Like, okay, here's let's watch the original Star Wars and watch Luke Skywalker. Oh well, and when we get to the later movies, he turns into a piece of crap. Let's watch the original Indiana Jones movies. Oh well, when we get to the later movie, he turns into a piece of crap.
Yep.
Kirk from the original series was a consummate professional, other than hooking up with aliens.
Yes,
and the J.J. Abrams movies turned him into this impulsive, reckless kind of a nitwit.
Yeah,
It's like that is the antithesis of what Kirk was.
Right. And
have they unmade Picard in Picard?
Well, they destroyed Picard in Picard season 1.
Picard's dead after season 1 in Picard.
That's true. Yeah, and they kill the character because he's just he's a robot clone anyway. But Jean-Luc Picard was this intellectual pillar of virtue and a source of strength. And when you get to Picard, he's this broken down, meek man who's getting chastised by everybody in the room. I think we've long again my friend the Admiral sheer fucking hubris. Like, what? This is a guy who has saved the galaxy 15 times over, negotiated countless peace treaties, and you're treating him like he's some plebeian who just graduated from the academy a week ago. What is even going on?
Martin, were you about to add to that?
But yeah, I was just gonna say that like nobody can write anymore, but particularly nobody can write military anymore. You look at the 1960s, a lot of the guys writing that served, right? And so they know how a bridge is supposed to operate. They know chain of command. They know that when the captain says something, you don't talk back and say, "You sure you want to do that?" The answer is yes, and report to the brig.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Strange New Worlds drives me insane. And I know Akiva Goldsman is the guy who gave us nipples in the bat suit. I don't have much in terms of high expectations, but it drives me nuts because you sit down and you like, even if you grew up in a civil servant household, you understand how things are supposed to function in a command structure. And there's just no semblance of it. It is, I'm going to behave like a child at work. And then I'm going to backtalk my commanding officer. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre.
Look, I mean, this basically is the Acolyte is the Star Trek Discovery of the Star Wars series, because every episode of Star Trek Discovery all boils down to one fact above all else: Mikey Spock is right.
Yeah.
And the only reason anything goes wrong is because somebody didn't listen to her, because she was right from the beginning and you're all wrong. And then she's going to fix your mistake for you. And then, that's it.
Has it just become a function of writing in the Star Trek universe that people don't tell people down their chain of command why they're doing things? Like when Jedi Squid Games, he goes back and he tells Jedi Superfan, that we're taking the prisoner with us. She's cleared of all charges. He doesn't say, "Oh, the Jedi Council has determined because we have this other evidence." No, he lets the guy make a fool of himself, and then he says, "Oh, well, the Jedi agree with me."
Oh yeah, or Admiral Holdo even in
exactly
in the Last Jedi, when it's just all you had to do was explain your plan. Like, no, we're doing this. Oh, okay, cool. Movie's over. We win.
And how can I accommodate that goal?
Yeah. Instead, you played Cloak and Dagger, and this guy thought that you were like, you were betraying the rebellion, and because of that, now by the end of this movie, the entire rebellion can comfortably fit in the Millennium Falcon. All because of that. But it's okay because she flew a spaceship at light speed at another spaceship. Oh God. I can't with this.
And they also immediately established, by the way, guys, that's not an option. That's not going to work again.
How about when the Jedi? Oh, I know that was a 1 in a million shot. No, it's not. Point your ship and hit the button. Anyone could do that. The Holdo maneuver. It's not a Holdo maneuver. It's ramming somebody with your car. It's then when the Jedi are when they have Asian Ezra Miller and they're like pumping him for information, and he's just like when he said the thing to Ashley Olsen about he's going to be so happy you did this without a weapon. And, Squid Games is like, who's he?
Yeah, that
And
scene was so terrible.
He's like, who's he? And he doesn't answer. And then we just never ask him again.
That was such a bad scene because she goes in there and you're thinking, okay, she's going to go in. She's, what skills does she have to make you think that she is qualified to go in undercover to this? What he was a chemist or something. What was he called?
He's like an apothecary.
Yeah. Yes. So she's somehow qualified to go in undercover. And then she goes in and you immediately find out, nope, she's not qualified at all to be in here. She has no idea what she's doing. She stares at him and goes, yep. Yeah. And
Agent Ezra Miller must have a copy of the script because he knows all sorts of things he shouldn't be able to know.
Yep.
You're telling me,
totally.
No, you're telling me that you wouldn't look at that girl and immediately you think she's the same one. But after 30 seconds of talking to her, you're going to either think she's absolutely insane or that's a different person. Because
also,
to his credit, he was the only one who was able to figure it out. That wasn't her.
There's also one apothecary in the entire town, and you gave her poison. Where do you think that the Jedi at the temple and his Fadawan are going to tell you to go look? And yes, Fadawan, because body positivity Jedi was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's a good one.
The bumbling, chunky Padawan for the Fadawan. Oh my God, I was so pissed off when I saw. I was like, oh, this is just everything is just so. Everything is so transparent in this.
I love how
everything
fast,
is transparent.
I love how fast they turn over the entire operation to this girl who one person remembers who didn't even do a good enough job to actually have force powers. And they're just like, you know what? We don't need any more ideas. That's the one. We're going to listen to her. The one we almost arrested yesterday and barely lived and stuff. That's the one that we're going to put all our faith in. And
the one that we decided is not able to actually be a Jedi anymore, that we kicked out. She's the one we should all listen to. And yes, and like Martin said, here's a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And from the beginning, when Jedi Squid Games was like, I really think I should go with her. And they're like, I don't know. There's important stuff going on right now. Maybe you should stick around. He's like, no, but I like her. And they're like, all right, you're good. Go ahead. You can take 4 people with you too. We don't need them either. Just go. We know she's a random girl and that we had her in prison yesterday, but you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Just go ahead and take her.
We are losing Kevin Apollo currently. He does have to head out. So Kev, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
I was unaware that we had a spring concert tonight for my daughter, so it is unavoidable. Or I won't be here next week.
Yes, so yes, we will see you next week.
Go be a family man.
Yes, after episode 3 of the Acolyte, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to.
All right, Jeds, have a good one. Carry on.
Have a good one, Kev. All right. So by the way, some super chats. Johnny 718 Bravo for $2. Thank you so much. Says the show and the showrunner are terrible. I second that remark. Rowdy Rodimus gives us $2. Thank you so much. Also chimes in again with thanks for making nightly 8-hour dialysis easier. Well, we're happy to assist. We're happy to be there for you during that. That sounds like a rough time. But yes. So, how about the fact that did we ever see how Agent Ezra Miller gets away from the Jedi? Because he just kind of seems like he's not in custody anymore at one point.
No, I don't remember seeing how he gets away.
Like at one point he's just like, and it's clear he's got some moves too, because Mary Kate like gets the drop on him and like tries to kill him, and he like fights her off really quickly.
That's
he just point. I don't know, maybe the Fadawan was busy like stuffing his face with something and he just snuck away. I don't know. But
maybe everybody was watching the no contact fight and just lost track of him.
You know what? I will give them one thing. They made Jedi Master Squid Games actually very like capable in a fight. Yes. I enjoyed the fact that he held his own, that he was actually like, pretty much in charge of the fight. But again, take out your lightsaber, cut this girl's leg off. That ends the fight. Well, but you know what? The lightsaber. Once you ignite the lightsaber, it hungers for blood. Apparently, Lord,
I will
could
say,
not believe. Go ahead, Dis.
I will say he's the only character in the show that feels like he could have fit in old Star Wars. Like there's a place for him there. I liked his character, and I really thought he did an excellent job. It was terribly written for him though, and his dialogue wasn't very good, but he did seem to fit in. Like there's a little Obi-Wan there, there's a little bit of that, and you understand why he's loyal to her. So I don't want to say I'm more forgiving with him because it's hard to separate everything when you kind of look at it when you realize it's all written by the same person. It's all directed towards,
you know what? Here's my thing with this episode. Now, as a writer, when you end your episode, even when you write a book and you end a chapter, the point is always to give some kind of cliffhanger, something that makes you want to turn the page or tune in next week. What we got at the end of this episode was a Wookiee opens a door and walks into their house. Do they think that the presence of a Wookiee is enough to make me be like, oh, gotta watch next week?
Well, she's gonna kill him.
There was no tension built. No, I get that she's going to try to kill the Wookiee and probably will kill the Wookiee, but I'm sorry. That
just sounds like kill the Wabbit.
Yeah,
kill
exactly.
the Wabbit.
Kill the Wabbit. Oh man, I do not. There's not one character on this show that I care about. In order to not break canon, anyone that sees a red lightsaber needs to die. I have a bad. Somebody had said a while, and I don't remember who it was, said that they think that this is going to end with Yoda covering it up and be some kind of character assassination on Yoda, which I could see them doing.
So Yoda becomes like the X-Files smoking man?
Pretty much, yeah. Yoda's Nick Fury all of a sudden.
I could see it. It's definitely a case of they do a lot more telling than showing. It's like, trust us, this guy's a bad guy. He deserves to die. And also this Wookiee, that's a bad guy. He deserves to die. Why? Because he's a bad guy. That's why he deserves to die. But at the same time, everyone else...
Girl said so.
Yeah, because girl said so. But, but they're shades of gray, except for the ones that we're killing, because those are bad guys. Why are they bad guys? Because she said they're bad. Like, it's circular. Like, did we ever find out what Jedi Master White Guilt was guilty of?
No, we're going to find out, I believe, in the third or fourth episode is a flashback, and I think it explains everything from what I've heard. It explains like what the Jedi did, and
he started the fire. Okay,
no, I'm joking.
Okay, I was gonna say.
They seem to think that Mary Kate was the one that started the fire, but I'm sure she didn't, because that would be a mistake that she would have made, and we can't have that. So I'm sure it was one of the evil Jedi.
Okay, so it's. I guess I hate to say that I need to give this show more time. I don't, because I don't want to give it more time, and I did not enjoy my time with this show. But at the same time, I guess when you're looking at, you only saw 2 episodes of a 10-episode story, and the way shows are written now, 8 episodes. 8. Okay.
Well,
and thank God.
Yeah.
And with the way shows are written now, where they're all written, like, even if they're not released at the same time, they're all written to be binged. So the idea is that, like, we, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to wait so long for the answers. I guess I can give it a little leeway, but I don't think I want to know any of this stuff. I think maybe no reason to care.
There's not one mystery that has been like put forth where I'm like, I'm dreading the answers to these to these mysteries more than anything, because I'm pretty sure it's going to just rewrite the very nature of the Force itself.
But how much of that is not the show itself, but us bringing in the baggage of all the things we know are going on?
Yes, I think a lot. I think that is a lot of that, because I think that, back in the day, we'd hear this new Star Wars, we get excited, or a new Marvel, we get excited, and now we're like, oh God, no. Like I think I was on That Park Place, and we were talking about the possibility of a Gargoyles movie and how it was something I always wanted, and then I was like, finally, I was like, no, I never want them to touch Gargoyles again, because they'll ruin it. I have no faith in anything that they're gonna do.
I mean,
And on the Gargoyles thing, why is it every time that comes up, nobody says, "Hey, Keith David's still alive and he still has a great voice. Let's use him."
Yes, because it's going to be a CGI character anyway, and it worked out really well in Transformers with Peter Cullen. But again, I don't want them to touch Gargoyles, because they will ruin it. It will, Demona will be the main character. It'll be a absolute horror show. Miles Engelhart checking in with 279 Canadian says, I am too old to do enough drugs to enjoy this and live. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, buddy.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, you have an interesting case study here, because I haven't watched a lot of Star Wars recently. I haven't watched a lot of the MCU. My kid's not interested in either, and I have to spend most of my time with him. So I don't have a ton of baggage coming in. I actually was kind of giving this a shot. But the little setups and surprises they've given us so far, and resolutions they've given us so far, have given me absolutely no hope that any of the resolutions are going to be good in the future. Considering everyone, the one they gave us, the one big one, was that they were twins, and that but they totally botched that. They totally botched it. And
they probably could have strung out that revelation until halfway through, where you're not really sure whether or not she's actually the one doing these.
It would have been better.
Right.
It would have been better. It would have been the way to do it. And people would have complained. While in the meantime, there would have been complaints online, and Disney can't have that. Disney can't, but they don't mind.
No, they're allowed to have complaints online as long as they come from certain people.
Right, exactly. The wrong people would complain,
because then they can shield it in this is istophobe behavior and soy boy and all that other stuff, touch grass. But now, in order to play two characters, though, two distinct characters, one good, one supposedly dark side or evil or whatever the heck they want to say for that, you have to have range as an actor, and I don't think this woman has enough range to play a single character, let alone two. The acting in this has just been god awful from the very beginning, and the work that they have done to shield this from criticism. Leslye and Kathy got out last week and started with the istophobe and sexism and racism and all this other stuff. It all started a week ago. And then she sat down with Filoni, and they were talking about a moment where, like, Ahsoka was supposed to be really challenged in the first season of Clone Wars. And George said, no, she'd be able to handle that. And they're using that to justify the fact that Chitara is not, like, phased by anything that happens around her, that she doesn't have to try for anything. Martin, did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. That's part of the backsass I was talking about earlier. Like, who's the one in charge here? Who's the trainee? Right.
Absolutely. And she is just, Anakin, like, I remember when Obi-Wan said something and Anakin said, why? And Obi-Wan was like, what? And it was
in that scene in Padme's apartment.
Yeah. All he said was, why? And it was like an all-stop moment. And now she's, like, legitimately just backsassing him. I don't know. I don't recognize the culture of Star Wars anymore.
They are. It all started back when they were like, from the very beginning, when they said we're erasing the EU, and then going into The Last Jedi, where they're like, this is going to change everything about Star Wars. They wanted the name Star Wars, but they didn't want the Star Wars. They wanted a space IP that they could make a lot of money with and shape in their image. And they're, like it or not.
No, the reason they bought Marvel and Star Wars was because they needed boy brands. They had girls locked in with the princesses. They needed something for boys. So they had superheroes and they had Star Wars, because originally it was pirates and princesses, and the pirates weren't catching on. But then they got this, and then they took Star Wars and Marvel, and they decided we have to remake them for girls now. And I don't know. Like, look, My wife goes with me to these movies when she feels like it, and that's how she watches them. And sometimes she enjoys them, but she's not going to see one of these by herself. No matter how they market it, and no matter who they put as the main character, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I got a slew of kids. One of them's 13 years old, a boy, and
Yeah.
his younger brother's 10. They're never really interested in going to movies, but the two things they now love the theater when we can go, because I took them to see Godzilla -1 and the Brendan Fraser Mummy. Before that,
very nice.
there was nothing out there for them that they were really interested in.
Yep. I know. Hey, you know what? My kid's 10. And you know what we're watching right now? We just finished season 1 of Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah.
So
and
good.
He loves it. He loves it. He said this is like if WWE was a TV show. You know, I mean, he is all
WWE is a TV show.
I know, but you know him. But he's all about Cobra Kai. He loves Ghostbusters. He loved Indiana Jones, the first 4. He loved the 4th one. It was only until the 5th one where he lost interest. So we're lucky enough to have movie theaters around us that show older movies. We have an Alamo Draft House. I have an old movie drive-in. So even living out in the middle of nowhere, we can still go. Like we went and saw Homeward Bound a couple weeks ago, and I'm able to show him this older stuff because he has no interest. I tried to sit him down and watch a new Star Wars movie, even Force Awakens. Nothing. He didn't care at all. The new superhero movies, he doesn't care at all, and the reason is because he doesn't see himself in it at all. There's nowhere that he can place himself in those stories. In these old stories, he has a place where he can place himself and feel good about himself. He can watch, and not even old story. It doesn't have to be old. Look at Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is still running.
What I would say to that also is, as a kid, I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I loved Xena. And I could see myself in those stories because they were stories about morality, about being a leader, about, just about good versus evil. Now, the problem today is that these female-led projects don't speak to boys because they're all about being female.
Right.
They're not about universal concepts anymore of right and wrong. And the male-led properties, Captain America, things like that, those were not about being a man. They were about being a good person. And that's a universal thing. These brands went from being boy brands, quote unquote, that girls enjoyed to being girl brands that no one enjoys. I don't remember who said that originally. I didn't make that up, but a lot of people have said that. And it is dead on true. Nobody.
I said a while back that Star Wars, Filoni is writing fan fiction, but that gives him a leg up on everybody else involved in Star Wars who don't seem to be fans.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I said it the other day to somebody. I said, I think Dave Filoni is the only person who works at Lucasfilm who's seen Star Wars.
But it is upsetting because I am a huge movie buff. There's been times in my life where I would see 2-3 movies in the theater a week, and it is like pulling teeth to get my kid to go see a movie anymore, unless it has a giant monster in it. Right. Because there's, this was something that I was looking forward to sharing with my children, and there's nothing out there for even the animated stuff. Has gotten so bad.
Especially the animated stuff. The animated stuff has been atrocious. And Wish and
Yeah. Like, Onward. We watched Onward and that was okay. It was okay but even that confused him more than anything, right? Because it wasn't aimed at kids. That wasn't a kids movie. That was like a teenage, there's nothing. It seems like you go from Bluey to MCU, and there's no in between there for these boys who are, which, by the way, Bluey it's pretty good for kids.
I've heard.
I gotta say.
I've heard. Yeah.
Also, Paw Patrol was pretty good for kids. If it's not coming out of Disney, you can find some stuff out there.
Yeah, the Paw Patrol movies have been decent. Fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. And Blaze and the Monster Machines was fine. But it was hard outside of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It was hard to find something on Disney Junior that he would be interested in. And then trying to get him to see even Pixar stuff. The last Disney output that he was interested in was the last Toy Story movie. But since then, he doesn't. He's far more interested in whatever. What are they called? Illumination? Is that what?
Yeah,
Like the
Mario.
Well, the
and
Mario
Despicable
movie,
Me
my kids wanted to see it like 3 times in the theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he loved it. Loved the Mario movie. We had to buy it when it came out.
You guys
I
like
thought-
Coco?
Yes.
What's that? Coco was good.
Coco,
Oh yeah, Coco was good. You may remember it. My kids don't.
My kid doesn't
like,
either.
It's like out of their minds. They completely forgot about it. They actually preferred Book of Life. Much better movie.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. Yeah.
The
I saw Mario in 4DX.
yeah.
Was
so
that good?
like it was fantastic in 4DX, especially the Mario Kart portion of it. It was like it turned it into a ride. And folks, we're being joined right now by our buddy Phil Marks from Pro Wrestle Times. Phil, hello.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Am I coming in loud or echoey? I got a new mic setup going on here, so.
No, you sound good, Phil. You sound good. The glad you can make it with us. I'm not sure how much longer we're going, but the
That's fine,
Phil,
man.
did you happen to watch The Acolyte?
I did not happen to watch The Acolyte. I heard you guys talking about it. Sounds
Yeah.
disappointing. Wah, wah.
Yeah, disappointing is not the word.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a bit before we move on about the rumors that are coming out. So a lot of people are reporting all over the internet now that we are going to see the Force be fundamentally changed. Essentially, the Force will be reimagined somewhat into a female entity. And
Of course.
Anakin Skywalker will no longer be the chosen one. He will simply be a chosen one. And the chosen one is like the Avatar at that point. And they are reborn, as the next chosen one. So it's essentially the timeless child from Doctor Who, wherein the original Anakin Skywalker was these 2 black girls. Martin, what do you think about that?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Okay.
Wait,
Well,
who'd you ask? Oh, me?
Martin.
Yeah. I don't know. We were warned. They told us the Force is female. It's been coming for a while.
They did. They've been saying it for a while.
Turns
Been
out
saying
that
it
was
for
a
a while.
promise, not a threat.
Yeah. 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 We all thought it was just a fun T-shirt, but no, it's 100% real. Phil, I mean, how long has it been since you've been really into Star Wars?
I mean, I'm really into it, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was just writing about it last night. I was just doing a little Star Wars work myself. I like it. I haven't really been into anything as of late, though. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been into the Obi-Wan show. I wasn't into Ahsoka.
They were terrible.
Yeah, I probably will not watch this one. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I will, just so I know what happens. But
Can I tell you guys about with Ahsoka? So I love the Clone Wars and I love Rebels. I thought they were both very, very well done. They made me believe in Dave Filoni for the longest time. But when Ahsoka came out, I at first thought I loved it because I was like, oh wow, I'm seeing the Ghost, I'm seeing Hera, I'm seeing Choppa. Like I was all over this. And then all of a sudden I realized one day, wait a minute, this show is not telling me anything new. It's not presenting me with anything new that it has to say that I am enjoying. It is just giving me things I already liked from better shows, showing it to me in live action and tricking me into thinking that it's good. And once I saw that, I started to see Ahsoka for what it really was, just a sloppy nothing burger setup show where, it was just on all the fight scenes were a bunch of old ladies slowly, sloppily swinging swords at each other.
That's why I was saying Filoni's writing fan fiction. Like his comment about how he views Hera as Thrawn's ultimate equal or Thrawn's greatest enemy. What are you
Hera?
talking about? But yeah, he thinks Hera is Thrawn's equal. Well,
Ezra was Thrawn's enemy. Ezra's the one that defeated him.
Yeah, but go back to the EU, the Thrawn trilogy, and then later the Thrawn duology. Thrawn is the greatest of all the. Was he? He's not. He's a Grand Moff.
He's a Grand Admiral.
Grand Admiral. Okay. Somebody in the rebellion doesn't match him. Nobody matches him. That's the nature of Thrawn.
But yeah, like the closest would have to be Luke Skywalker,
Right.
Like, and even then, it's not a 1-for-1.
Yeah, Luke needs help.
But nobody needs help anymore. That's the thing. Everyone can just do it on their own. But as long as they're as long as they're of a certain
as long as they're the girl who's the key to everything.
Yeah, you just got to be the key to everything, and then you win.
Like the Force.
Which
like the Force
pretty
now.
much. Yeah, the Force is female. If we actually get this timeless child-esque thing where we find out that Anakin being the chosen one is just not a big deal, I'm gonna feel so deflated and defeated by that, because it's basically just like George has made it very clear Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one. Because for a while there were rumors before even like the Disney sale went through that Luke was actually the chosen one.
Yes, yeah.
I thought that initially.
Me too. Yeah, I adhered to that theory. And then George, when George caught wind of that one, he put it straight. He's like, no, Anakin is the chosen one. And but Martin, was it you who was saying the other day about
not understanding the prophecy? Yeah, that was me.
Yes, about bringing balance to the Force and what it means. Because Lauren and I had a huge conversation about this in private, about how like the Jedi in their arrogance didn't really, I don't think, understand what bringing balance to the Force was. There were 2 Sith, and the Jedi were just overrunning the galaxy. The light side had completely eclipsed the dark side, and Anakin does in fact bring it back into balance, because you need light and darkness to balance each other.
A yin yang thing, yeah. So 2 Sith, 2 Jedi, that's balance.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And we see it periodically now, because then like Luke tries to raise the Jedi back up, and all of a sudden the Jedi get killed off again.
Right. But that's not George Lucas's Star Wars. That's a Star Wars that makes sense to me, because it's in a certain way, it's interesting for somebody to misunderstand a prophecy, bank everything on it meaning one thing, and then the rug gets pulled out from him. That can be interesting. But that's not George Lucas's Star Wars. And what I love ultimately is George Lucas's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. Dis was just in the chat, and he said, how long until Disney buys its way into anime? I mean, we're already seeing what's going on in anime, where you have the work being done by Japanese creators who are making these wonderful shows that don't adhere to any of these like Western politics. And then they get over here and they give them to a localization team for translations and for dub scripts, and they inject their politics into it.
Did you hear that they're looking at using AI to circumvent that?
Yeah. The Japanese studios are like, no more of this. We're just going to start using AI now. And I think they should. I honestly think that they should, because you watch it and you see like there was a scene, and it was like the girl was like, oh, why are you wearing that shirt? And she's just like, I just wanted to walk down without, drawing too much attention to myself. And then in the American version, it's, those pesky patriarchal, societal demands of me. And I'm just like, come on, guys. Yeah, the male gaze. Come on. Yeah. Enough.
If you ever do an episode, because I could go on for so long about Disney and where they are as a company and what they've done,
what this show is about. Yeah.
What they've done to, like, I don't want to say to my child, because they didn't do anything, but what they've done to my expectations about being a father and what things like that. Because my kid was really into Disney when he was real little, and I was always a Disney kid. So I was thinking there was going to be a time where that could come together, and that falling apart. If you ever want to do a real Disney episode, I am right there, man. I'm just letting you know that right now, because there's so deep I could go into this about. I mean, look, it goes from the parks to the movies, to the shows, to the way they've rebuilt entertainment, to the death of the theaters, and all of this stuff. I think stems from them.
Well, and have you seen what they've done with Splash Mountain?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a big Disney park guy, so yes.
Okay. Yeah, we've been covering it pretty extensively over on WW Pro and that park place. And they have basically taken the most classic ride of all time, a ride with 70 audio animatronics, mind you. And there's now what, 15, 20, Martin, I believe was what we last counted.
17 whole animatronics.
And why? What's the purpose of them reducing it like that?
So they took Splash Mountain, which was Song of the South. You know, it was Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer
Right.
Bear. They decided that was racist and problematic during the Summer of Love.
Mhm.
And they decided they were going to rip all that out and replace it with a Princess and the Frog themed ride.
Okay.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And the problem is now there's just stretches where there's nothing, or there's just like little like statues of animals that have like one motion. It's terrible.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because, you know, I did get to take my kid to Disney World when he was younger, and that was kind of our thing for a while. We went twice before he was 7, you know. And that was I've been in my life probably 5 or 6 times, but I've always had a real interest in the parks. And now to see like I talked to him a little while ago about it, and we have a Silver Dollar City, which is close to us. And he is far more interested in going to Silver Dollar City now than he is Disney World.
That's insane, dude.
Far
So
more, infinitely more.
I've been going to Disney since I was a kid in Orlando. I've got family down there, so I go down there pretty often. I was actually just down there recently, and it's just you can't recognize what this place is anymore. Like they used to have like the garbage cans themed to all the different lands. The garbage cans are all just plain brown.
No way, no.
Yeah,
I'll send you a picture, Dis. I took pictures of it. The garbage cans on Main Street USA were just plain brown. The things are dirty. They're ripping out all of like the theming in the Morocco Pavilion and replacing it with just generic garbage.
Okay.
It's just, and meanwhile, Universal is building itself up and ramping itself up, and they're making this epic universe that's going to be unbelievable.
It's not look at I mentioned Silver Dollar City. Go seriously, no one pays attention to them, but they've been rated the best theme park by USA Today for like 4 years in a row now. And there's a reason for it. It's because they have a theme. They have something. They're an 1800s US town and they stick to it. Everyone's dressed like characters from the 1800s. Every ride is based on the 1800s. They have a mascot. They have like they don't go outside of that. And
the
biggest one, right?
Great.
Yeah,
I've heard
it's
Dolly.
It is Dolly World. It is Dollywood.
They're just like Dis's Avatar is dressed right now.
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars. Leave me alone.
Have you been to Galaxy's Edge, Dis?
No, I haven't been. He doesn't want to go. He has no interest in going to Disney World anymore. He wants
my
to go
goodness! You know what? Joining us right now as we are starting to talk about Disney parks, our good friend Nolan Thunder is joining in. Nolan, I was not expecting
Hello,
you.
friends.
I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Hello, thank you. That actually means a lot. It really does. Thank you.
Oh, I am super excited to have you here, Nolan. No, we're talking about one of your favorite subjects here right now, my friend. We're talking about the destruction of the Disney parks, essentially.
Oh, my favorite. The only thing I love more than that is the murder of Star Wars and every other thing I love.
Oh, yeah. You know, we've been talking about, I was actually just about to kind of talk about both because we designed this land in Hollywood Studios and, you know, also in Disneyland, Galaxy's Edge. And
Muppets for it.
Right. No, we did not kill the Muppets for it. The Muppets are fine. They're still there. But
for now,
we anchored it in this time period. You know, everyone's favorite time period.
Did you put it during like the Old Republic, you know, those really popular video games that everybody, you know, thinks that you should never touch that period of time, that everybody just across the globe thinks it's just core Star Wars and it's beautiful?
or maybe you put it on Tatooine where everybody could go to the bar in Mos Eisley.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
You'd think.
You can even get your hand decapitated there too and severed and stuff. Right?
Well, no, because once we've learned from the Acolyte that once a Jedi unsheaths their lightsaber, they are prepared to kill.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense, actually.
None of that happens anymore. But the
now, what are they going to do to make the land though more progressive? Like, I'm kind of concerned about that.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of key issues in this world that we need to address in this theme park. You know,
well, you know,
during new audience.
You hear Star Wars theme park, and immediately, what do you think? Oh, I get to meet Luke Skywalker. I get to see Darth Vader. I get to, you know, like, no, we no original trilogy whatsoever. We are going to anchor you instead in the middle of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
Jesus.
Oh my God, that's so great. Where do I get in line to go get ran over by a car?
I will say that we were talking about Silver Dollar City a few minutes ago, and one of the big issues with Silver Dollar City, they aren't nearly progressive enough.
Okay, fun story. I caught the little bit of the stream here, and when you mentioned Silver Dollar City, that made me so happy because I used to live around that area for like about 2 years or so.
Oh, I
so
live there, yeah.
I got to go there. And fun fact, this is a little off topic. My apologies, but the guy who owned Silver Dollar City also owned a place called Celebration City, if you've ever heard of it. And it was only operating for like 2 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I got to go there, and it was pretty cool. And then they closed it, and now it's like abandoned, and people sneak inside of it, I guess. So
my son always sees it when we drive by to go to Silver Dollar City, and he wants to go there, and I have to explain to him it doesn't exist anymore.
That's a great father-son bonding moment. You guys should sneak in.
Have you guys ever heard of? It used to be in Orlando. It was called Splendid China.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard of
No,
that.
but that sounds like a delicious treat.
It does sound like a restaurant, I know.
There was
But
also the Holy Land experience.
Yes,
Bible World.
that closed
Yep.
a couple years ago. The Holy Land experience. There was so much going on there, and now, but the biggest thing, which I actually went to recently, and I'm gonna have pictures to share on Tooney Talk Wrestling soon. Hogan's Wrestling Shop, right there on International Drive.
That's across the street from the world's biggest McDonald's, right?
Yes, Ron Bradley from Follow the Bradleys Fun just did a whole video from that McDonald's. So it is a that's a McDonald's where you can get pizza actually, which is weird as all heck.
And a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, exactly. But have you guys seen though? So Disney unveils the Splash Mountain. This just sapping all of the creativity out of this ride. And a week earlier, Universal releases a look at the ride system for this Donkey Kong roller coaster that they're making, which is a side. So basically, like the track that you're on is fake. The actual your car is being held on the side by almost like a crane, and that way you can jump the tracks in your minecart, like in the Minecart Carnage. Source of all of our childhood stress and anxiety on this roller coaster, which looks unbelievable.
That sounds incredible, and one of the most incredible things in the past decade. But Minecart Carnage sounds like that would be an amazing ride in itself. I'm picturing a minecart, and you have Carnage from Spider-Man attacking you throughout the ride.
No, have you never played Donkey Kong Country on the original Super
Nintendo?
No,
I totally have.
Oh, okay. So you know
I get it. So you'll be able to fling off the track and stuff. I've been intentionally kind of avoiding info on it, which you can talk about if you want to, because I kind of want to see it in person when it happens. No, you're good, man. It's good content here, man. It's all good.
That's the Orlando thing that my kid's interested in is Nintendo World. He wants to do Nintendo World so bad, and I'm waiting until it expands a little more because I don't think it's worth a full trip right now. But
have you heard the rumors that Universal is planning on turning the Lost Continent area of Islands of Adventure into Hyrule from Zelda?
Yes, that's what I meant when I said expand. Yeah,
and there's
if
even
they
rumors
do that. I'm gonna be so upset though when they do that because I legit want to dress up as Link, but I know they have a strict no costume guest policy. But
and they don't even have a Halloween event that lets you dress up, Nolan, because Halloween Horror Nights you're not dressing up as anything.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm going for the first time in the fall here soon, and that's because when I went to, I'm cool. Super pumped. Haven't been actually we went to Orlando because me and my mom are super into theme parks. I'm a roller coaster nut. I literally have blueprints for Son of Beast and all that. But no, last year we went to Busch Gardens in February. This year we're planning a duology of Universal and Disney, and then we're hoping next year to go to Epic Universe for hopefully the launch of everything. And I really want to cover on my channel because my channel's more gaming oriented and such. So I'm hoping it could be a nice time to cross everything. But yeah, Halloween Horror Nights.
Guys, check out Nolan's channel. He's got some real great deep dives on video game stuff. It's fantastic. I love it.
Thank you so much. I wasn't meaning to really plug there on everything, but it's just everything connects because usually this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. It's a hobby of mine, but my channel is usually a little bit different. But they're having a Nintendo launch of a theme park. That doesn't happen every day. They're protected of that IP, and every kid and their grandmother is going to want to be in that park. It's going to be amazing.
And now there is Super Nintendo World exists currently in Universal Japan and Universal Hollywood, but not in the version we're getting. Like, yes, it's going to be the Mario version, which already exists, but we're getting the Donkey Kong add-on in Orlando.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, we get the Donkey Kong, and then there's also rumors that the Simpsons might be going the way of the dodo at Universal to make room for Pokemon.
Yes, I think it's going to happen. In fact, we're planning to make sure we have like a bullet list of everything we want to hit while we're down there. And Simpsons Ride is a major one because it's going to suck for me because we went to Universal in like 2011, and because at the time we actually opted for Universal over Disney because they were just the better park at the time. It looks like they're going to be that again now. And also, when I grew up on the Disney sequel era of direct-to-DVD sequels. So I got into Disney when I was older. So you get it. And I'm really excited here. But when I went, that was one of the first rides that really blew me away was the Simpsons ride. So I'm going to be really sad to see it go. And Universal has like no sympathy for their rides like at all. But at the same time,
nothing whatsoever. It'd be like Disney pulling out It's a Small World with the way they got rid of Jaws and Back to the Future and all that stuff. Yeah,
and the Wild West show.
Yes,
exactly.
I'm going to do a little confession here.
Okay,
I've never been to Universal Studios.
Dude, it's going to be amazing when you go. Yeah. It's just getting better and better. Because here's the thing, like. I hate seeing the Simpsons ride go. I really do. But at the same time, it's like, do you take the Simpsons or do you take Pokemon? And Pokemon's the biggest franchise in the world, period. So I understand that. It's not like Disney to where it's like they change it due to social issues that people aren't actually really that mad about, aside from like 5 people. Whereas this, it's like, okay, you're going to sell a lot more. Everybody's going to want to go to it from around the world.
Yeah.
So I understand it.
Well, Universal also they are much better at taking fan movements and making them things. It's like at Halloween Horror Nights, there was this pumpkin called that. It was like this little tiny pumpkin that had like a weird look on its face, and everyone started calling it Little Boo, and people would take pictures of it. It became an Instagram phenomenon. There's now Little Boo merchandise everywhere at Halloween Horror Nights. T-shirts. We're talking cookies. And then there was a squirrel. There was a squirrel that was living in like one of the Christmas trees, I think it was, or something like that. And people were like, "Oh, that classic Universal character, Earl the Squirrel." Well, guess what? Now Earl the Squirrel is a Universal character that you can meet.
Oh wow!
I learned something new today. I love it when companies embrace the memes as long as you know they're not like destroying their IP or something. In fact, I know Martin will appreciate this. Now I just can't help but think of them having like the murderous grimace going around the park from the TikTok memes like last year.
Grimace shakes, yeah.
What's real funny is that the thing that kept us from going to Universal was that we because we were around the time of Halloween, like they were already kind of in their Halloween group, and we were going to go to Universal, but my kid decided to go to Hollywood Studios instead. And the deciding factor was that Universal didn't offer the Bill and Ted show anymore, whereas Disney still had the Muppet Show.
I thought you were going to say Star Wars. I did not expect Bill and Ted.
Yeah,
that Bill and Ted show at Halloween Horror Nights was amazing, and they got rid of it because of people got offended by the things. I remember what did it. It was in that year's show, Superman turns gay because he gets hit by pink kryptonite, and
that's actually canon in the DC universe.
Exactly,
awesome.
Exactly, and people
I'm pretty sure
about it.
I'm pretty sure I have bi or gay friends who probably would have been laughing their butts off at that. Just saying.
My son is a huge Bill and Ted fan. Huge Bill and which makes me feel proud to be a father.
You did something right. You did something right.
Yeah. So the fact that they didn't have that, but Disney had the Muppets, is what got him to go to Hollywood.
The fact that he's a Muppet fan tells me also that you did something right.
I feel good. I feel positive about myself.
Good. You should.
Still stands up at Universal after all these years. Sorry. What still stands up at Universal after all these years is the ET ride.
Oh,
yeah.
Still excellent.
And I still have never ridden it to this day, even the first time I went. So apparently that's one of the bullet list items. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to experience something retro at Universal. This is going to be weird.
My kids liked it so much, we went home and watched E.T. They insisted on it.
Were they terrified?
Yeah. It was a 5-year-old. She rode that ride like 3 times in a row. And then at the part where ET is dying, she's crying, "Why did I want to watch this?"
Oh, that's so
Would she go on the ride again, though?
In a New York Minute.
Yes. That's how you know it's good, right. Even when the actual source material is terrifying. Yeah, no, when I first saw E.T., everyone talks about the part where he's dying. That didn't scare me. Granted, I was a little bit older at the time. But what did scare me is when he's in the dang cornfield. That was like a cheap jump scare, but I do laugh about that now.
Yeah, I remember when I went as a kid, waiting with my grandmother for like an hour plus for ET, and now you just walk right on it. And I remember like it used to be that it was this, you give him your first name when you walk in, and at the end ET will be like, "Thank you, Nolan." Martin, Phil. Like,
I'm pretty sure that would end up in my nightmares that night if I heard ET ever say my name coming out of his freaking mouth.
No, they still do nightmare. That. Yeah, they still do it. They still do it. As far as I know, they still do it.
But when they take your name, absolutely no interest in name. It's like the flattest, quickest. There's no. Yep. Hey, welcome to the park.
Hi, guest number 42. I mean, Martin.
It used to be this thing that they were excited to like make you a part of, and now it's just like, all right, yeah, we got to do this stupid thing. Like,
now you got like you have all the seasoned vets, they're working on like the Hagrid ride or Velocicoaster, and then you have like the new one who's like still in high school, who's busy flirting with the chicken line over there. He's like, "What's the name?" Oh, Phil. No, it was Steve. Phil, close enough.
So, okay, that does bring me to a question here, because I haven't been to the Disney parks in about 4 years since my kid was like.
Okay.
So have they lost that personal touch? Have they lost the idea that like they'll give me a thing that says you were the guy, and then they come and say, "Oh, you're that guy," or
they'll still give you this? No, you still get the sticker for being that guy in the Monsters Inc. laugh floor. Martin, have you ever been that guy?
I've been that guy.
Yeah, I was that guy once.
I've never been that guy. I try all the time.
I was that guy. And see those are the little things though. It wasn't the rides. It was being that guy, or it was my son. He had his pin for his first trip, and we went to get a funnel cake, and the lady behind the counter said, "What do you want of the funnel cake?" And I turned to him and I said, "Well, don't get anything too crazy. It can get expensive." And she leaned into him. And she goes, "What do you want on the funnel cake?" And I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit like, "Oh no, this is going to be bad." And he started telling everything he wanted, and she put it on, and she piled it on, and we went out to sit by the ducks, and then she brought it over to us, and I was like, "Okay, how much do I owe you?" And she goes, "This one's on Mickey."
Okay. I was hoping that would be the answer.
I had a feeling that's where that story was going. No, at the end, see, Phil, those magical moments are much fewer and more far between at this point. They are not as into the idea of giving you that anymore.
I felt more of that at Universal when I went.
Yes,
really?
Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Sorry, Martin. Tell your story. I got a really good story you just reminded me of. Oh my gosh, I want to share this so bad. But go ahead, Martin.
No, it was just a statement. I felt more of it at Universal.
I know. What's your story?
Okay. So it was February of 2020, right before everything, happened and stuff like that. And we managed to squeeze a Disney World trip in there. So me and my mom went on the last day of our trip, we decided to do like a last minute trip to Universal so we could experience the Hagrid ride because that was all new and such. And we go on the Fast and the Furious ride, and it was already kind of raking up a bit the cost of the trips and stuff because like doing a last minute Universal ain't cheap. But we did it, and we go on the Fast and the Furious ride, and we're just in line, and we didn't have like Fast Pass or anything like that. I don't remember we did. And we're just in that line, and it's cool how they have it all themed in there. Like, say what you want about that ride, and I can't even remember the name of it to save my life. But there's like a dude who's like that super like dressed up. He's kind of like the guy who lets you in or not with the rope, like the VIP guest,
the bellhop. Are you talking about the Tower of Terror?
Well, no. It's because it's on Fast and Furious. It's the guy who's like, if you're in front of a club, he's got like the suit on. He decides where the guest
bouncer.
The bouncer. Thank you. So in character, he's in the bouncer, and he's just kind of, letting the guests in the line, they theme it all up and make it kind of look like a car warehouse or whatever before you get on the ride. So we're just there, and we're just making small talk because we worked at a restaurant at the time, and we're just talking about, people, like some people are rude, some people are nice. It was just the most simple, like, friendly exchange ever. And the dude, for whatever reason, was like, just thought we were so cool. He literally took us around on like a back room, like where the employees walk and stuff like that. Let us like cut around the line, see like how some of the behind operations are, skip a major portion of it, get to the front of the line. We had to miss like the little show gimmicky thing at the beginning, but we didn't care because we were getting to skip the line. And then he gave us like 3 paper fast pass to use for the rest of the day. And it's like, was this dude a guardian angel, or was he just a nice dude, or is that something they let their employees do sometimes? But it was something that I will never forget, and there are genuine good people out there. I was shocked.
Totally. So now, Martin, I understand. We are losing Martin right now. Martin, please tell everyone where they can find you. Anywhere you might want them to go, any shows to check out. The floor is yours, my friend. Thank you, and I really appreciate you being here today.
Martin.
You're muted, Martin.
Thank you for inviting me. I mostly just pop in every once in a while. But on That Park Place, Nolan and I have a members-only show. It is about lost media and things that somehow have returned. Like, for instance, we've talked about an old TV show called Viper. And we talked about Reebok pump shoes.
And we've been recording some really cool episodes here recently, and there's some really fun stuff coming. So be on the lookout for that. If you get a That Park Place membership, it's a lot of fun to record. The show's called The Lost Guys, and we have Hangry Table who joins in on us and stuff like that. The 3 of us make up the show, and it is a blast, and we really hope you check it out because we dive into some weird topics on that show.
No, and you guys plus Hangry Table, like that's such a good time because Hangry Table's such a good dude. So Martin, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I did not expect any of you guys to show up tonight, and I really appreciate you guys coming out for it.
Well, thanks for the invite. It's been a blast. Anytime,
you're welcome. The door's always open.
Thank you.
Oh boy. So now I got to tell you guys, if Universal does get Pokemon, I might have to move there. Like, not because of me, but because Mrs. Movie Monster will want to live in Universal Studios.
Yeah, and like,
okay, I was like, are we talking Orlando?
Hold on. Go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say, imagine the cool things they're gonna be able to do at that park, like integrating, like an app or whatever. I don't know. Just the possibilities are endless with the Pokemon thing, especially over Simpsons. So I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I go to assume it's gonna be a lot of augmented reality stuff as well. Nolan, what were you just gonna say?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. What I was gonna say was, so did that refer to y'all got to move to Orlando? Y'all got to move to Universal Studios, or 3? She literally wants to live within the Pokemon gym, and then that's just the new house. You take like a ride attraction, you just put the bless this house doormat or have love sign and have a little Pikachu next to it on the doormat. Do something like that.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm looking right now over at my living room. We have a Jigglypuff couch. It is a couch just covered in her Jigglypuffs. And no, that is not a euphemism, folks. She actually has a couch full of stuffed Jigglypuffs, most of which have been purchased by myself. But my wife has an unhealthy obsession with Jigglypuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, I thought you were going to say like literally that couch was like the thinking chair, to where it's literally a pink couch and like the curling parts of like the armrests just have like Jigglypuff embedded into the fabric or something like that.
Well, no, it's funny because like nobody really sits on that. It's like a love seat, and so like I sat there the other day, like just like on the edge of the cushion, like just to say something to her, and she's like, "Don't sit on my Jiggly couch." I was like, "Wow, okay." It was really funny. But yeah, no, we the goal is to someday move down there. I'm sure. We love theme parks, we love cruises, we love sunshine, so. It's all a thing. And Hogan's Beach Shop, which I've got to get to more. Phil,
So
you would go nuts in that place. It was insane. What were you saying,
Marv,
Phil?
let me ask you something. If someone threw a Pokeball at you, would they catch you? Is that?
No, they would catch these hands is what they'd catch because it was I know, but you know what's funny? I am actually working on a song parody right now about Tony Khan to the Pokemon theme.
Yeah.
And it came
Tony Khan.
came
I can already hear it.
yeah, no, it came from Mrs. Movie Monster, who was like, "You should do the Pokemon theme," and I was like, "Oh man," because then I realized that Pokemon and Tony Khan have the same number of syllables in it, and I was like, "Well, that writes itself."
What are you gonna do when that gets like 2 million views and then you're gonna hear that song on the radio? What are you gonna do?
So I'm gonna celebrate.
Mission statements, just signing up free agents and whoever, so gotta get them all. It makes sense.
It cuts to
right there.
It cuts to like a Taylor Swift or a Kanye West concert or something like that, and they're like, okay, the next song we have is by Marvin the Movie Monster by popular fan demand in the audience because it's the #1 song on the charts. Okay.
But you know what? Kevin Apollo, my normal co-host on this show, he runs wrestling shows up in the Northeast in New York, and at one of his last shows in the mall, the guy that sang the Pokemon theme was there, and they got him because he was at a signing, and they got him to come up on the stage by the ring and sing the Pokemon song to the crowd.
Wow.
He was just like, yeah, I'll do it. Like the guy was just like super thrilled to do it. And Kev got a signed Pokemon card from the guy.
That's amazing. Which card, do you know?
It was actually like a card of him. Like it was a specialized card of the singer.
Yo! That reminds me when I got is it Jim Cummings that voices Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
I got the name right, right? Okay, make sure I got the last name right. When I got his autograph, I literally like printed out like unique pictures to like get him to sign and stuff like that of Dr. Robotnik because I'm like, I need something cool. So I like something that's actually connected to them. And I think it's so cool he had like a personalized version. That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was super, super, super cool. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the other thing I was just about to say.
Well, that guy's done background vocals for Michael Jackson as well. Like he's legit.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, no, I believe it.
I'm like 95%. Someone Google it, but
so we just got Crunchyroll, so we've been like watching anime left and right. And let me tell you something, man. My wife is into the weirdest animes. Like not like I'm not like walking in on hentai or anything. Don't worry. But like
like what? Like
I'll walk
or like
no, I'll walk in and I'll be like, oh, what's this one about? She's like, it's about a pharmacist. And I'm like, what? And she'll be like, it's like a medical show. Like it's like Grey's Anatomy, but it's anime. And I'm like, why are we watching this?
Yeah. I think I know which one she's
Why aren't you watching this?
Yeah, why aren't you watching
Sorry, Phil, I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Phil,
I love your profile picture, by the way. Just random side note.
Phil's?
Thank you.
Yes, I love the beach, so it makes me happy.
Yeah, dude, me too. It makes me happy as well.
I've noticed there's this trend in anime right now, and I know like we're just off on like randomness at this point. There's this trend in anime where it's like Power Rangers like off hours. Like there was 2 that I saw. So it was like one of them is like the concept is like Lord Zed on his day off.
This is perfect though, because like they have a gold mine with Power Rangers. It's like when My Hero Academia capitalized on how you could have done several movies at Sky High, but Disney only did the one.
Yeah.
Like Power Rangers.
It just came out that they were supposed to do a second Sky High and they canceled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I linked something about that. Yeah, and I first saw it on Instagram where they were saying new Sky High announced, and I'm like, what? And then it didn't say that it was canceled, so I looked up the story, and I'm honestly, it's mixed because part of me is like, okay, I'm seeing the cast now. They all look like they could still do it and do a really amazing 10 out of 10 movie with it. I just don't trust anything Disney handles right now.
Yeah, okay,
so that's why I'm glad they haven't.
So I know that there was like plans for an immediate sequel, and I remember that. And then a few years ago, there was plans for a Disney Plus series, and I remember that.
Oh.
Was there another plan for a sequel after that? Was there going to be a movie?
There was the Sky High. You talk about Sky High, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sequel was supposed to be called Save You, and it was going to be them in college, I believe.
Right.
That was
the
hero college.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but My Hero Academia does it so much better anyway. Better powers. Phil, do you watch My Hero Academia at all?
I'm familiar with it. I watched it a little bit, but I kind of
feel like that's
off,
a Phil Marks show. Like I feel like you would really dig that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, my favorite anime of all time is Dragon Ball. Like anything.
Well, I mean, look, if you want to talk Dragon Ball,
yeah,
we can talk Dragon Ball for a million years. Me, you, and
My
Kevin
Hero
Apollo.
Academia is solid though. Like nothing against it. I just it's sort of like Naruto. Like I like it. I just never dove as deep into it as I probably could or should have. I like Jujutsu Kaisen. It's more my sort of thing.
I have a random story about Dragon Ball if you guys would like to hear it.
Let's hear it.
So,
hold the thought for 1 second, Nolan. Let me get this Jujutsu Kaisen story out. My buddy was like, "Hey, watch Jujutsu Kaisen," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, like let's do it." So I went to the wife and I was like, "Hey, anime to watch, Jujutsu Kaisen, let's do it." We sit down to watch it, right? And halfway through the first episode, she's like, "I'm not into this." No, we're not watching. No. So I'm like, okay, fine. Didn't work out. I wasn't super into it either. I come home the other day. She's watching Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm like, how far into it are you? She's like, oh, I'm on like the 18th episode. I said, what? So now I got to catch up. So anyway, Nolan, you dragged
just to get to the Shibuya incident. It's I mean, the Shibuya arc is where it's at.
Nolan, you had
I'm sorry. I just really love the stories of you and your wife in the anime saga. For some reason, this is very entertaining to me.
It's so funny. It's always like every day. It's like, what weird anime are you watching today?
My weird Dragon Ball experience. So, growing up when I did, you would have thought I would have grown up with like Dragon Ball Z, and that would have been like my favorite show ever and stuff like that. For whatever reason, never happened. But what did happen was I have the weirdest like Dragon Ball Z adjacent life ever because so my only thing I've ever seen of Dragon Ball Z is one episode, I think it was the first episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai. I saw that. But when
not a lot happens in that episode.
Yeah. But when I was just a little guy, learning about the big wide worldwide web of the internet, with the Newgrounds Flash animations and stuff, I saw a little series called Super Mario Brothers Z. If anyone in the audience is familiar with that, it was a viral web series. They used sprite animation, and it basically took elements of Dragon Ball and incorporated it into this crazy Mario storyline. And it was actually like hilarious, and like there were epic fight scenes, just like Dragon Ball. Cool. Like you had Mario like flinging in the air with his hammer. He got the Firefly and start shooting it like it's a freaking Shoryuken or something like that.
Right.
But the crazy thing about that series is I loved it. But because of that series, that was my introduction to maybe Dragon Ball Z, kind of. But it was actually my tried and true introduction to Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm a fan to this day because of a Flash animation series based off Dragon Ball Z. It's a weird, weird world.
That sounds like it. I got a couple super chats here. Kevin Haggerty saying once Chapek became head of Disney theme parks, that's when it all went downhill. Tom Staggs doesn't get enough credit for Iger's initial success. I do agree about Tom Staggs. Chapek, I think Bob Chapek was a fall guy. I do not think that Bob Chapek. He was much more nickel and dime, which I think is kind of what Disney wants. But Chapek made these sweeping changes, and he took things away that were always a part of the experience. The bus, what was it called? The Magical Express, the Fast Pass system being included with your ticket. All things that were built into the price of a Disney vacation, and now those things are gone, but the prices have only gone up. So, and Iger came riding back in on his white horse, and he was just kind of like, oh, hey, like I'm back and I'm here to save the company. Never undid a single one of those things because it was all part of the plan. All part of the plan. John JID 999 checking in with $2. Thank you so much. Says just finished the second episode. Wow, does Disney suck? He's talking about the Acolyte, folks. Which
I love your profile picture, dude. I like that, John.
Yeah, what's up, John? Good to see you.
John's a great guy. I have radicalized John. We were talking about on Tooney Talk Wrestling last night.
Oh, yeah?
I got John when I started appearing on the Pro Show and that Park Place. John started following me over, and John like knew nothing about like pop culture, and now he's like all like plugged into like the anti-Disney stuff. I was like, I've radicalized the poor boy.
He hopped on the live show a couple times with me. Actually, I let him come on. Yeah, I was very weary of it. Like I'm weary about letting like just people from the chat and stuff hop in. But John's a good dude, and then he came on the live show actually a couple times, and he actually killed it. He's a really good guy. He's a really good hang actually. So shout out John, man. Much love.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, like for me, like I don't take risks anymore.
Yeah.
With people like putting people on the show that unless I like know
You
them.
take a ton of risks. You take a ton of risks, Marvin. Like the dangerous anime you've been watching with your wife. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, no, yeah, the weird animes that she's going. She was like, "What's this one about?" She goes, "Oh, it's about a grandma and grandpa who became young." And I was just like, "Why are we watching this?" The other Power Ranger one though was it was like, what if the Red Ranger and Rita Repulsa like was secretly dating?
Ooh, that's a great idea.
We watched one episode of it, and it was actually really good, and I'd like to watch more of it.
Yeah.
We're watching like Spy X Family. It's a whole bunch. Now we've got Crunchyroll, like it's open season.
Japan's literally making the great comedy spoof films that America used to make, and
Japan's making all the great content that America used to make.
Valid point.
All quality IPs now are coming out of Japan. The reason why One Piece was so good on Netflix is because the manga writer was given carte blanche to basically like dictate everything about this show, like with full creative control. Then you had
the Mario movie.
Yeah, same with the Mario movie. Was the Nintendo guys? Well, the Nintendo guys would never letting that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would never letting an American studio get their hands on that again. So they definitely.
It's such a weird time in movies too, because I like to think of myself as, because I just love going to movie theaters. Okay, I'm so bad about watching shows even when I love them, but I just love going to the movies. It's an experience, and I love film. And there's so many movies out there. This is the worst movie ever. I grew up on the age of the the YouTube film critic, Red Letter Media, all that. And I go to the movie theaters, and there's so many times like I usually will go to a movie if I like it, but that would usually be a few films a year. So it was still a decent amount of movies. And I'd always walk out of it, even if it was bad after the fact, like Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi. Most films I'd walk out of, and I could be disappointed, but most of the time I was like, you know what, that was fine. Or most of the time, honestly, I liked it. There was something I could appreciate in the director's vision. But this is like the first time in my life I have gone to the theater to see movies, and I'm walking out and I'm like, what did I just watch? Because I'm not someone who just goes, that movie sucked. Like, there's usually something. I'd be like, okay, it was fine. I'm not going to just start panning a movie. But the movies that have been coming out this year have been garbage. Like, Strangers Chapter 1 was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and you're seeing it. You're seeing that people are voting with their wallet finally. You're seeing the studios are getting such diminishing returns now. Yeah, the disc. What was it you wanted to talk about? You said something about your quest.
Lost Media was mentioned earlier.
Yes, that's Nolan's whole thing. Yeah.
Also, Bill and Ted was mentioned earlier, and the Ed Solomon, the creators of Bill and Ted, after they did a couple stinkers there after Bill and Ted. One of them was 1,000 Words. Do you remember that Eddie Murphy movie where he could only say 1,000 more words? They were bad, but the idea was that they made a studio picture, and then they're going to be able to make their picture. And in 2004 they started making a movie, and it was a claymation movie. It starred Jack Black, John C. Reilly, William H. Macy, Billy Bob Thornton. John Cleese played Hitler.
Nice.
Sylvester
That sounds
Stallone,
legendary, dude.
Sylvester Stallone played Mussolini.
How was this not a hit that got made?
And Fred Armisen was Tojo. And the idea was that Tojo, Hitler, and Mussolini got cryogenically frozen instead of dying. And there were two automatons played by Jack Black and John C. Reilly during World War II who were sent to kill them. And they went down into a submarine, but they got stuck in the submarine. Then Mussolini, Hitler, and Tojo come out of cryogenic freezing and come to the mainland. and they decide that they want to get the world on their side. So they decide that they're going to make a stage production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
No way. No way.
This exists?
The automatons then come out of there because they realize they're alive. So then they come to kill them, but the people don't want them killed because they're making a stage production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. There are at least 8 scenes that have been made and that are confirmed. There are pictures that have been confirmed. I actually got in touch with Ed Solomon, one of the creators of Bill and Ted, and he told me that this actually got pitched in 2019 as a series to Cartoon Network for Adult Swim. And that was the last they had done with it. But there is footage. It does exist. There are 8 scenes completed. There are pictures on the internet. And yet this movie has never seen the light of day. I have brought it forth on many different places. I the Lost Media Wiki seemed to have no interest in it. The Lost Media section on Reddit had no interest in it. And I can't find anybody who actually wants. And I even got Ed Solomon to talk to me about it. And he said, yeah, we pitched it to Cartoon Network. It is stuck.
You need to make a video about this, man, and get the attention out there because this is such a fascinating topic.
It is. Yeah. Is it the most amazing thing you've ever heard in your life? This movie would be amazing.
Dude, make a video on it and get it to get a bunch of attention. Everybody's going to start going to your video as like the origins of this story.
Yes, you really should. Like that.
Really
that's such an insane story.
I have been on this quest for 10 years and no one will no one pays attention. I post it places, I talk about it, everyone's just like, nah, okay. And I'm like, are you insane? This sounds like the greatest thing ever created.
It's cool.
Throw in some live action footage of like a VHS tape of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or something like that while you're at it in there. Maybe add a little bit of fog and see how the views do.
Dude, I have the pictures of the movie. I have stills from the movie.
Dude, you could do stuff like that on camera. Dude, you got to do this video, man.
Let's make this to a video, guy. We'll help you for real.
Maybe this will be a Tooney.
I will throw the full weight of the channels behind you, Dis.
Like, Ed Solomon sent me a couple pictures. I was able to dig some up from people's reels and stuff like that. I have pictures of Hitler. I have pictures of Mussolini. I have a picture of the stage play.
Taken out of context. That is
you're just tuning in, folks.
I have pictures
out of the Interdisciplinary Committee going, I got pictures of Hitler, and then Twitter. Finally, I've got all the proof I need.
But I do have proof that there was footage.
Every conspiracy site ever. Sorry.
The footage of the stage play of Hitler doing A Good Man, Charlie Brown does exist. And I have the pictures.
Does he play Charlie Brown at least?
Yes. Yes.
Though I gotta say, like the idea of him like playing Snoopy would be amazing. Like Sapa Super Duper Sapa.
That was Sylvester Stallone as Mussolini.
Okay, Disciplinary. What is your YouTube channel? I need to subscribe to this.
I don't have one.
He doesn't have one.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, you're on a gold mine here.
Yeah, a gold mine.
I'm working on it.
We are going to peer pressure you into doing this. I mean, suggest that you do this. Peer pressure.
My Tooney Town Wrestling guys, I tell them all the time. I'm like, you all should have a channel, and none of them do it.
Yeah, they really should. But you should do that for Tooney Town TV channel even, and just I don't know, dude. I'll help you edit the shit out of that. That sounds great, dude. That's
yeah, man.
Incredible.
We can make it a joint thing if this doesn't want to start his own channel.
Get it out there because that's awesome. And you've been sitting on it for 10 years, so you know what's up.
Like I said, I talked to Ed Solomon, who wrote it and directed and made it. So yeah,
always start with something you're super passionate about. You know, it makes it easier.
Mm-hmm. This was all just in my free time. Me and my brother actually were the ones who were really like diving into it, and
that's why I started by making fun of Tony Khan. It's a thing that I'm just like super passionate about.
Same here. That's why I started talking shit and playing flutes and talking about Dave Meltzer.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, Dave Meltzer. We're not talking about wrestling on this one though. So, but
that's later tonight.
If you do want to hear wrestling, Phil Marks has got his stream coming later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, right over there at Pro Wrestle Times.
Yeah, at Pro Wrestle Clips, Pro Wrestle Times, both channels goes live.
You can become a member of that channel as well. Super chatting along with Phil Marks, talking about AEW Dynamite tonight. Phil's listening base makes up a large percentage of Dynamite's audience. So if Phil doesn't go on, Tony Khan sees a big dent in his ratings.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know if that's good for you or if it's really sad for them, or maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a mix of both. We don't know. We'll see as time goes
Josh
on.
AID, is Nolan aware of the amazing Dave Schultz? No, Nolan's not a wrestling guy, John. On Tooney Talk Wrestling, we always show promos of this guy Dave Schultz, who's an old wrestler.
Well, the minute
I don't know how much
we started showing that, we were talking about Lost Media, and I thought it was going to be about like the wrestling incidents where like the guys get like injured and they never show the footage again because of like the horrible accidents and stuff. So when I saw that, I was like,
there's not that many of those though. Like I think like the only one that footage probably existed of at one point that never got shown was Owen.
Yeah.
But like Sid breaking his leg, like that footage is everywhere, and like all that other stuff. But the one last thing I wanted to get to actually before we ended, have you guys watched the Venom 3 trailer yet?
No.
Yes.
No.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it together. Now, I'm going to start and stop a little bit just because, copyright, whatever. At one point, there is a copywritten song in there, so I will have to mute it. But, we will at least. Now, I'm going to preface
this. It was a poorly used copywritten music. Oh, did I say
horribly written. I do not like the Venom movies.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I'm a big Venom fan, and I thought the first movie was great. I like the first movie. I haven't seen it since. I have a feeling if I saw it again, I would still love it. But Let There Be Carnage, as Carnage being one of my favorite fictional characters ever, period, that was a boring, disappointing movie.
That movie was bad. I'm about to shit all over this trailer too.
Yeah, when they made Carnage a lovesick puppy dog that was like following Shriek around, I was like, no, he's Carnage.
I didn't even mind that, honestly. What drove me crazy is, I'm going to be real with you guys, the effects. It was just a CGI. Like, we waited years to see Carnage, and we saw Venom come to the big screen. Sam Raimi did amazing on the effects. Carnage was just so forgettable. I remember he was big and he had everything happening all at once, and I couldn't tell what was going on. It was
my whole thing with these movies has always been, why do you do these movies without Spider-Man? Like, why Venom without Spider-Man is not interesting to me, unless Venom has already been with Spider-Man and we are spinning him off into his own thing. Yes. But it's not interesting to me. So all right, so let's look at this trailer. All right.
Oh, I can't. I'm gonna shit all over this, Marv.
Oh yes, let's do it.
Watch out for Tony and copyright.
But I'm warning you. I'm not gonna like this.
All right, here we go. Oh, Tom Hardy doing his weird guy walk.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy is the king. He's the king of interesting choices, whether it's Bane, whether it's this. Everything he does, I'm like, interesting choice.
Yeah, he's great.
I will say, though, like, I do think he's fantastic as any Brock. Bane, on the other hand, it's mixed bag. I love him as Bane, but I can't take him seriously as Bane is the problem.
First I'll play Bane, then I'll play Venom.
Yeah, I hate Venom without the spider on his chest. I can't stand it.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate design before he got like the...
Yeah.
So it's like something is just missing. And you could get away with it in the second movie, whether it was poorly executed or not, because like Venom and Carnage, that's like he has his adversary. Like you have here, I mean, yeah, Demon Horse is really cool and all that. But I'm really hoping the rumors that Andrew Garfield's in the movie is true because...
Oh, is that a rumor? Okay, I didn't.
That was a rumor I heard the other day, but watching this trailer, I'm like, watching this trailer, I don't see how that could be true.
I don't see Sony playing that card again because I feel like from a marketing standpoint, especially after how bad Madam Web did, wouldn't you want to throw in the face that Spider-Man's in this movie? And I wonder... Do you guys think there has to be some sort of, like, because this is insanity, they're playing the Sony Spider-Man movies. Like, they've been redeemed with No Way Home. People like Tom Holland Spider-Man. They like Jamie Foxx Electro. And as we've seen, the Venom movies are profitable, and people tend to like Tom Hardy as Venom. So, do you think this could be kind of like with Toho, with, like, Godzilla -1 versus Godzilla Kong New Empire, where they had to yank it from the theaters sooner than they needed to? because of like licensing, so they wouldn't like cross compete with each other. Because that's about the only way I could think this makes sense of why they're avoiding Spider-Man himself like the plague.
It's possible. I don't know. They might have something with Marvel that where they
Yeah, I
agreed
thought
not to do it. I don't know.
I thought there was an issue with Marvel where because they almost broke completely, where Spider-Man was not going to be in the MCU anymore.
Yeah, they were
And
gonna
I
pull him
want
out.
to say that it came out then that Marvel said we'll do Spider-Man, but he ain't touching that Venom crap. Like, you know, that was kind of the whole deal. So
Listen, I believe that the there are two phrases in this world that Kevin Feige hates more than anything. The first one is male-led project, and the second one is in association with Marvel.
yeah,
I thought what you were gonna say was he hates the man part of Spider-Man. That's your first problem,
Oh, yeah.
man.
All right, here we go.
The last movie and expand upon it. And ever since, like, when did Far From Home come out? Was it 2017 that it came out?
It was right after Endgame, so yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it been like 2018, 2017, something like that. So, like, everyone's like, whoa, where's this going to go? Why does Venom hate Spider-Man? Does he have, like, this previous history with him? And now, instead of following up on that plot, they're spending this whole trailer trying to make us care about what Venom has going on in his life now. And
I'll tell you, Nolan, I'll tell you what this is. This is Deadpool. This trailer is Deadpool and Wolverine, but not as well done.
yep.
Phil, am I wrong?
I just hate that it's all the same. No, I don't want to use hate. Hate's a strong word, but it's just like, okay, cheesy jokes. All right, that was in the trailer and the build up, and in Venom 2, and in Venom 1, and then what happens? Oh, they're struggling to go back and forth and say I'm Venom at the same. Okay, that's been in both the movies. Here's some like street dynamic that's been in the other movie. I don't know. It just seems like this is more of the same of the last two Venom movies. Like, what are they offering different here so far from this trailer? Nothing. It looks the exact same as the other two.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
And that's a great point. In like the second movie, like especially when you have a sequel that completely fails at setting up any excitement for the next one in Let There Be Carnage, like this trailer has so much on top of it to show why do we care so much about the conclusion of these characters. And right now it's just kind of like, hey, another day in the life of being Venom. And I know that sounds interesting, but it's really kind of boring in this trailer.
You know, Sony has an interesting opportunity here to go back and kind of do something old school with their properties where they don't have to connect them to a universe and they don't have to be bogged down by all that baggage that the MCU and the DC EU or whatever it's called now have to follow, right? They can just make singular movies. Put Venom in this situation and then put Venom in this situation, and the movies together don't even really have to be connected or have a thorough line, but instead they are just reaching to try to attach baggage to something you don't need it attached to. Why not just
make everyone a hero now? Like every villain's redeemed, every Venom's just a full-blown out superhero.
Sony doesn't have anything but
Spider-Man. Like, fuck out of here.
The only thing they've got is Spider-Man's villains. But like, why not do Black Cat then? Like, why not make a Black Cat movie instead of doing Madam Web?
After Madam Web, keep them the heck away from Black Cat. But that's a good point. Also, the whole point of this trailer.
Hold on, Nolan. Hold on. This is the lady from the convenience store from the last movie. Why is she back?
Because it's the same thing. I'm telling you, this character worked in the first one. Let's just put her in the other two movies.
It was a joke that got over in the first one. They got her do it to death now.
Teenager. But I will say, part of what made Ultimate Spider-Man so good is because the Amazing Spider-Man comics had been bogged down so much by big universes, Clone Saga, all that stuff that just like you had to do like a freaking essay just to catch up on everything. And this was eventually going to happen with the MCU. The writing was on the wall. Sony is in a great spot right now where it's like, hey, you already have a Spider-Man people like, you already got villains people like, why not just go ahead and just make something more simple, kind of like the Raimi movies like back then. You know how much money they made for you, but yet they're trying to do things like Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web, where you get Sydney Sweeney and still can't break $1 billion. What the heck?
And then what's Kraven? Sorry to interrupt you, Nolan, but what's Kraven? Oh, he's a good guy, and now he's got weird tiger hunter powers, and he's also a good guy.
My favorite
thing. Fuck off.
my favorite Sony blunder or story or whatever you want to say is Morbius, where they mistook a meme to think that it was popular and put it back out after it failed.
And it bombed a second time. And I love the people. I love people that were like, "Oh, Sony, no, sorry, we were busy. Put it out again. This time we'll go see it for sure." Like.
And the thing, a Kraven Hunter movie, like if you actually did Kraven the Hunter, like it could actually, I wouldn't say that's a great thing you should greenlit, but compared to like so many movies that ride, you know, point A to point B to point C, it could actually be original. A guy who's just obsessed with hunting people. Yeah. But no, they're not going to do that. When you make everyone a dark hero, it's the same trend over and over again. People love the Joker because of his psyche, how he's just such an interesting character. And you do, like, The Dark Knight was such an influential movie. The Joker villain himself did a similar thing and made a ton of money. People like seeing movies about villains, but if you just make every villain the anti-hero, it takes away from the anti-hero.
And just as a side note, someone in the chat said that the Nolan Batman movie sucked, and you can lick my balls. But nice profile picture of.
There's some hot takes that I could bring to the table about those movies, but I would like to still remain on the stream.
No, Phil, I'm sorry to say, I think that The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises are flaming crap.
Oh my god!
I love Batman Begins though.
For another day where we'll debate this. But...
Yes, I think Batman Begins is the greatest Batman movie of all time. But no, I think the Nolan movies, by and large, I think the Nolan movies.
Well, that's concept. But what I don't like that they did is I wish, because it's hokey, but it's like something I would love to see in a comic book. But what I don't like is why is it? I know this would be even more stupid, but why is it not Venom riding the horse as opposed to Eddie Brock riding the horse? Because I think that would actually be better if it was Venom on a freaking steed riding into the night. Like
horse dogs. It was
John JID 999 bringing it back to wrestling, saying I'd rather watch Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta 100 times with this Venom crap. Just like the CMLL partnership, no one's caring enough to tune in. And we will see.
Did they just
tonight? PWT live show.
Going back
well, and speaking of which, we gotta let Phil get over there and get prep for PWT live show. So
yeah,
I think we gotta. I think we got to just end for tonight. I think we. Why? What are we gonna say, Dis?
No, I just wanted to bring up that they ripped off. Did they really rip off the Ang Lee Hulk dogs? Is that really where we're going?
Oh
now?
no,
yeah,
no.
Apparently, I guess that's kind of what it is.
Remind me.
That's crazy. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so yeah, I think thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who super chatted. Thank you to our great panel here today. Dis, Nolan, Phil, Kevin Apollo, Martin. Just a truly great discussion. Guys, check out. I'm gonna have an Acolyte full review of the first 2 episodes dropping on Tooneytown TV. That's going to be coming tomorrow, I hope, plus a song parody about Leslye Headland also dropping tomorrow. So check those out over on that channel. Subscribe over at youtube.com/@TooneytownTV. If you're a wrestling fan, keep it right here on Tooneytown Wrestling for the Headlock headlines every week, for song parodies, for Tooney Talk Wrestling every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And we'll see you guys back here next week, Wednesday night, 5 p.m. for more Tooney Talk TV. Dis, where can people go to find you?
AEW disciplinary at Twitter, also, or X or whatever it's called. Also, Tooney Talk Wrestling every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. I have to plug that.
There we go. It's a double plug. Phil, tell people where they can go to find you in about 20 minutes.
So I am at Pro Wrestle Times and at Pro Wrestle Clips on YouTube. I try to upload to both channels every single day, especially the Clips channel, which is the main channel. I go live there in about 20 minutes. I watch Dynamite, and Saturday I go live. So every Wednesday, every Saturday night, I go live. Dis and Marv, if you guys want to, in 20 minutes, you're more than welcome to join me over there if you got the time. We're going to watch Dynamite tonight. Laugh about it. Also, you can catch me on Tooney Talk Wrestling as well on Tuesdays. I try to make it as frequently as I can. And I really enjoy doing this, so keep your eyes peeled for me here. You know what I mean? At Pro Wrestle Times, you guys already know. Thanks so much for having me too, Marv.
Thank you, Phil. Always a pleasure having you. And Nolan, where can people go to learn more about you, find more about you, and all the wonderful work you do, both on your own and with our friends over at That Park Place?
Well, thank you very much. I'll start out with that Park Place. If you like to see me, I occasionally show up on the Pro channel. I also do some articles for that Park Place. But lately here, what I've been doing is with Martin Stone and Hangry Tables, as we said earlier, we're on a podcast called The Lost Guys. It's a membership exclusive. We cover all sorts of like old, obscure things that you may have forgotten about over the years. But we also cover some lost media, too, that never actually got released. We recently recorded an episode here on Superman Lives, the canceled Tim Burton project that was going to star Nicolas Cage as Superman. It's a really interesting deep dive. That episode is currently not out yet. The last episode we currently have out is the GoBots, which was an obscure Transformers-like series. And our next episode will actually be on the Mandela Effect, and we're going to do something a little bit crazy. We're going to talk about some of our favorite cases. If you like what I do, I cover a lot of video game hoaxes and urban legends on my channel. I do like little documentaries that are a mix of education, but also B-movie horror and comedy. It's got props, synthesizer music. The next episode is going to be covering Slamfest 99, which was a major event that was held at MGM Grand Theme
That's a
Park
good wrestling
Adventure.
crossover. That's a good wrestling
Yes,
crossover.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fitting for once. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a big event with mascots, and they did like a big stage performance for them. But the original recording and live stream for it is actually now lost. So I'm going to talk a bit about the search of it and what was the story behind this Super Smash Brothers tie-in. So if you're interested in that, it should be out here in a few weeks.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here first. Thank you guys. Well, not here first, but you've heard it here. We will see you guys next week. Please keep it to keep it to all the channels. Support our wonderful panelists here today. So I don't have an outro yet for the show. However, I will play the thank you video that I have made for super chats for both of our live shows for when somebody gives a big super chat. So thank you guys very much. For Nolan, for Phil, for Dis, for Kevin, for Martin, I'm Marv, the Movie Monster. Now get out of here! Now, Betty the Platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you!
Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing.
Thank you!
I got a little message. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah!
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what? Hi-ho, from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.